governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. UPI reports California's Klamathon fire has destroyed more than 81 structures, prompting evacuations in the affected area on Monday. CAL FIRE said the fire in Siskiyou County, which began Thursday, had burned 35,250 acres and was 30% contained. One person died in the blaze and 3 more have been injured. A total of 2,716 fire personnel and 199 fire engines were dispatched to combat the blaze. The county fire in Napa and Yolo counties increased in size to 90,288 acres on Monday and was about 73% contained. CAL FIRE said firefighters were working to mop up and strengthen control lines as unburned pockets of fuel continue to burn within the interior of the fire. No deaths or injuries have been reported from that blaze, which began June 29th, but it has destroyed 16 structures. The Georges fire in Inyo County was caused by lightning on Sunday afternoon and had grown to 2,000 acres by Monday. CAL FIRE sent 20 fire engines to combat that blaze, but did not specify how much had been contained. Near Los Angeles, the Valley Fire grew in size to 1,348 acres and was about 13% contained, while the 100-acre Box Fire was about 80% contained. Both blazes took place in San Bernardino County. The Creek Fire in San Bernardino National Forest was about 33 acres in size and 94% contained as of Monday. Further north, the Lions Fire had no growth over the weekend, remained at 4,064 acres in size and about 90% containment in the Sierra National Forest. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports President Donald Trump on Monday announced Brett Kavanaugh as his nominee for the U.S. Supreme Court, picking a conservative federal appeals court judge who survived a previous tough Senate confirmation battle and helped investigate former President Bill Clinton in the 1990s. In picking the 53-year-old Kavanaugh, Trump aimed to entrench conservative control of the court for years to come with his second lifetime appointment to the nation's highest judicial body in his first 18 months as president. Kavanaugh now faces what appears to be another fierce fight for confirmation in the Senate, where Trump's fellow Republicans hold a slim majority. If confirmed, Kavanaugh would replace long-serving conservative Justice Anthony Kennedy, who announced his retirement on June 27th at the age of 81. Trump told an applauding audience in the East Room of the White House, "Throughout legal circles, he's considered a judge's judge, a true thought leader among his peers." Kavanaugh has amassed a solidly conservative judicial record since 2006 on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, the same court where 3 current justices, including Chief Justice John Roberts, previously served. Kavanaugh served as a senior White House official under former President George W. Bush before being nominated to the appeals court in 2003. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Shortly after being fired from his coding position at a downsizing tech firm, 34-year-old Irvine native Sam Morrison told reporters Monday that he believed he had finally achieved the sort of work-life balance for which he has long strived.
Yeah, ever since I got fired, it just seems like my whole entire routine is just clicking. I go for jogs in the afternoon, spend nights with my wife and kid. I'm even cooking more. Everything just feels right.
Morrison, who since his termination has found time to pick up reading again, eat a healthy diet, and sleep more than 5 hours a night, noted that his unemployment has allowed him to find a level of harmony in his personal life that he never before thought possible.
For a while there, I thought that I was going to spend the rest of my life constantly worrying about getting to the office on time and pleasing my boss. Outside of the late payments on the house, the mounting credit card debt, the rapidly depleting savings, my life is essentially stress-free. I honestly couldn't be happier.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. Dial toll free and take control of the airwaves here. Bring up whatever you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. 855-450-3733. And the Skype username here is lrn.fm. We've got Discord as well. You can call in via the Discord on-air call-in line room and sound almost like you are sitting here in the studio with us. The us tonight is Ian.
And Mark.
Got big news regarding Defense Distributed, Cody Wilson, a place that you and I, Mark, have toured, actually, within the last year.
Yes, we have. We've been to Defense Distributed, undisclosed location, one that I could
It's in Austin.
Yeah, but I couldn't find it.
Sure, it's not exactly a big storefront or anything like that. It's just a warehouse where they're building stuff, manufacturing things to manufacture guns, basically. Manufacturing what they call the Ghost Gunner.
Yes.
And ultimately,
the Ghost Gunner is a little metal routing machine that will create an AR-15 lower. And an AR-15 lower is what the government calls the gun. Mm-hmm. The rest are just accessories that make the gun work or make the gun better or whatever it is. But the AR-15 lower is the gun. And they also have a version that will do 1911 pistols.
Yep, we're going to get deeper into that coming up here because there's been big news in his case because he filed a lawsuit against the federal government after they attempted to restrict his freedom of speech. And we'll tell you more about that here in moments. But first, we go to the phones. Milton is on the line to start things out here tonight because you can call in and bring up anything on your mind. Milton is watching us on our Twitch feed at twitch.lrn.fm. Hello, Milton.
Hello. So I was wondering, because you may have heard about this, Ron Paul came under fire, I think, like a week ago because he posted something about cultural Marxism on his Twitter. And then he posted an image which everybody said was racist. So
what?
Pretty much it was like Roseanne 2.0. But what I was wondering was because right after that, you know Reason TV?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Reason TV posted a tweet that said that, like, libertarians, like, even, like, talking about cultural Marxism was incompatible with the ideology. And I was wondering, do you agree with that? Do you think that it's incompatible with the idea? Like, even talking about it is like incompatible with the ideology of libertarianism.
Hold on. Was your question, just to clarify, was your question, is talking about cultural Marxism incompatible with libertarianism? I'm not sure if that I understood.
Yeah, that's what, because that was essentially what they were saying about.
Why would talking about anything be incompatible with libertarianism?
Yeah.
I mean, libertarians talk all the time about things. You know, they don't always agree on everything they talk about. So I don't even understand the question. Libertarianism is just the idea of following a non-aggression principle to say that it's not okay to use aggressive force against our peaceful neighbors in order to force them to do things that we want them to do, or not do things that they don't, you know, that we don't want them to do. So using aggressive force is the problem. That's what libertarians would quibble about. And rightfully so. So, I mean, anybody can talk about whatever ideas they want to. Yeah. There's no violation of libertarian principles there, which is why some people will get upset to say that, you know, and I haven't seen this cartoon yet. I did just try to search for it, and we'll take a closer look at it. It appears
to be a giant Soviet fist punching up Uncle Sam, which Uncle Sam probably needs, but it's the people who are giving it. And then there's these pictures, which are probably the racist part, which one of them looks like that classic Jew that's on the internet. And then, I don't know, there's different pictures. It's very small. I wish I could see it. It has been changed, so, you know, it's difficult
According
to really
an update, so these are the kind of classic offensive stereotype images of there's a yellow man, there's somebody with a hook nose, there's a black gentleman, and presumably a Hispanic, I'm guessing is what the fourth person there is. But Ron Paul says apparently somebody on his staff had posted that cartoon on his social media that he did not make. And I suspected that Ron Paul wasn't actually posting to his own Twitter account. Yeah, he's in his 80s.
So I've got a better picture here, and it's definitely the classic Jew, and the black guy looks a little Sam Bowie from my standpoint, and then, you know, maybe there's a Hispanic, and there's definitely a yellow man picture. I suppose a young person, maybe a person who's, you know, has some access to the Facebook feed, might not have known that these weren't actually historical figures. Right? Like if this was a picture of Karl Marx and Idi Amin, as opposed to classic hook-nosed Jew guy and, you know, stereotypical, you know, 19th century black guy, if it was actual historical figures that they were putting here, it wouldn't be racist. But here they're throwing up stereotypes.
Yeah, these are the kind of classic images of racial stereotypes. So yeah, I can definitely see why somebody would find this offensive.
Yeah,
absolutely. But regardless, the question about, is this related in any way to libertarianism, or should libertarians be able to talk about things? Of course, people should be able to talk about things, and you don't have to hold a particular position to be a libertarian. So, for instance, even some very offensive people like Christopher Cantwell in the past had described himself as a libertarian. And, libertarianism is just a prescription against the use of aggressive force. That doesn't mean that there's a prohibition on being an a-hole. Now, I think that's why the non-aggression principle isn't good enough. It's just one base rule for the way society ought to exist. But you still have to treat people nice and treat people with respect, in my opinion, and treat people as individuals and not judge people based on their skin color. So somebody can be a racist and a libertarian at the same time, but they're just a gross libertarian.
Right. In the future, when we're dealing with a future world where libertarianism, as we understand it, the non-aggression principle, the principle that you shouldn't use force or fraud, you should not initiate force or fraud in any kind of circumstance, that's just supposed to be a baseline. And, I'll say it here, I've said it a few times, I'm careful with the way I say it, but it's a baseline that is to prevent, it's the baseline on whether or not you should shoot somebody, right? I mean, ultimately, if somebody uses aggressive force against you, yours, or other people who have enlisted you as their agent, then, that, to me, in a world devoid of the state, the state is an organization that claims the monopoly on violence. They decide who gets to use it and who doesn't. They decide what is just and what isn't. They redefine, they pervert terms like justice. And so in a world where people understood what the non-aggression principle was, we would still have a huge variety of what people thought. They just wouldn't accept the notion that using violence against people is acceptable.
Right. So, Milton, your thoughts?
Yeah. I totally agree, and I was confused as to why, Reason would say that, since, pretty much, having a conversation about really any issue really doesn't violate the non-aggression principle. I just pulled up what the article said. The article, I think the headline of the article says, why an attack on quote-unquote cultural Marxism isn't compatible with a fight for liberty. That was what they said. Quote.
Okay. I'd have to look at it. I haven't read the article. I am interested, but I also don't know exactly what people like. Cultural Marxism is a buzzword, a buzz term in this case.
I couldn't even tell you what it means.
Right. It means to people whatever it means to people. So, what I define it as is basically leftist, progressivism in the area of social change. So the acceptance of different cultures, the acceptance of...
I'm okay with that.
Well, I'm sort of in the middle. I believe that there are good cultures and bad cultures, and we can look at them and see the results. You can look at it, some cultural beliefs are going to work and some aren't. Let's look at polygamy, for example. Polygamy is going to leave unattached many males in society. Those males are not going to have the tempering force of a female in their life. They're going to commit violence and, go work in the army and do all kinds of things. Not if there's
legal prostitution.
Just saying. Yeah. This is a belief, right? So I'm not entirely...
But there's a difference between having an opinion about a culture and... you use the word accept. Now, again, you were just throwing out a definition. We don't know what cultural Marxism's exact definition is, but if you're just talking about accepting that other cultures exist and that's okay, then that's okay. If people want to be polygamous, that's okay.
Well, people have all kinds of inefficient thoughts about life, and I don't go around wagging my finger at them all the time.
Hey, Milton, thanks for the call. Thanks for bringing up the issue. I appreciate hearing from you tonight. We'll continue here. Your calls and thoughts certainly welcome. Also, we'll give you the latest on what's happening with Defense Distributed's Cody Wilson and 3D gun printing coming up.
Ike was such a sweet, lovable animal, and people would want to pet him, and they'd come up and they'd get close to him, and it would be this instant, oh, My dad didn't want to touch him. It's like, ooh, get the stinky dog away from me.
Even after we'd give her a bath, she would still stink.
Very stinky, both bad breath and bad gas. I asked the vet, and he said some dogs are just stinky.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dinovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa, the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
The ingredients convinced me that it was definitely worth trying. After about a week, he started smelling normal. My husband and I were really kind of astonished.
Dinovite is nutrition.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Imagine this is you. You're working late when you get an alert on your smartphone. Your motion-activated Blink security camera picked up something at home. You pop open your Blink app and see the silhouette of a man peering through your kitchen window. The job of a home security system is to help stop crime. Get 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL, like Free Talk Live. Blinkprotect.com/FTL to save 15%.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial in, toll free, take control of the airwaves. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. Our number here, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Mark, did you find a definition of cultural Marxism that you wanted to share on the air with us?
It's just reading the Ron Paul, the reason thing here on Ron Paul, and it says... I wasn't prepared for this.
That's okay.
I got it right
you
here.
brought it up during the break, so I thought maybe you wanted to say it on the air.
Or bringing up the bugaboo of cultural Marxism, a vague conspiratorial theory that roughly claims that various changes in Western cultural character and traditions over the past 70 years or so are the deliberate result of Marxists' attempts to bring down liberty and impose communism. So I guess I kind of believe that there have been some changes in Western culture over the last 70 years. I mean, who wouldn't believe that?
But to give the credit to all bunch of Marxists,
right?
For that?
I mean, these people are busy trying to salvage their stupid economic stuff. I wouldn't say that. Look, once we get into the John Birch Society, claims that there's this nefarious group and all that stuff, you have lost me. I'm just not that interested in the concept anymore. I am willing to say that I am chauvinist towards Western culture. I like it, and I tend to think that in many cases it's been pretty successful. However, I think, like any culture, it can use some tweaking. The other cultures out there are the only places I know to go look for these tweaks.
So chauvinist, is that the word you really meant to use? Blindly patriotic and
chauvinist is, like I default to Western culture because that's the one I was raised in. I'm not a fool. I understand where I stand.
Okay.
I'm willing to look at other results, but I default to Western culture, and I tend to think, I get it. But, and I would love to have this question answered. What is culture? I'm just not sure what people mean when they say culture, because I find culture these days to
hard
be
to nail it down, isn't it?
It's really, really difficult. So there is a definition. Historically, culture means language and religion. So you can be in the same place, speak the same language, but not have the same religion. Then you don't have to share the culture. So geography is an aspect. Generally, I would suppose that the complexion of your skin is kind of matters. Like the color of your hair. Red hair was meaningful as to whether or not, paternity. Many times red hair would be used as a question of paternity. So I think that the way people look...
Culture, let me give you some definitions here. The equality in a person or society that arises from a concern for what is regarded as excellence in arts, letters, manners, scholarly pursuits, etc. So that's more of like a person who is cultured in these sorts of things. But going on, skipping past those related definitions, here's the generic one for culture of society. The behaviors and beliefs characteristic of a particular social, ethnic, or age group, i.e. the youth culture, the drug culture. But of course, within a youth culture, there's 100 different subcultures. Right. There's the goths, there's the emos, there's the, fill in the blank.
So when one uses the term culture and says, I want to protect American culture.
It's meaningless.
Well, that's what I think, but I think that Free Talk Live is about people being able to call in and give their opinion on that subject.
Well, unless you want to define American culture as basically the freedom to have whatever culture you want, purportedly. I mean, that would be the ideal, right, of America, is that you should be free to pursue your liberty and your interests and that kind of thing, and gather together with other like-minded people in a voluntary society of those people who share your cultural beliefs.
A vaguely more capitalistic understanding of the world than the one that's purported by other sort of
You're talking
Europeans
about an ideal culture? Because there's plenty of not-so-capitalist people in the United States.
I understand that, but what we're talking about, culture refers to history. It does not refer to future. And so,
doesn't it refer to right now?
No, it doesn't, because it has to do with
history. Well, people want to protect their culture. They want to protect something that they presume exists, right?
It exists, but it only exists because of what you are. It is a current manifestation of history to some extent. So the United States has a more capitalistic culture than many European countries and that sort of thing. I can see what people are, if that's what you're talking about, cool, fine, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. I like that more so than I like what goes on in other European countries, sure.
Well, I think that the wider this culture concept becomes, the more just completely useless the idea is. I mean,
when people use
American culture,
right? People will use it to the point that it no longer has a definition, and that gets very difficult. Like, we need to bring this back in. Michael Savage always talking about language, culture, and borders. He doesn't I have never heard one time him to sit
define
down
culture
and discuss what is culture, and to any satisfying extent. And lots of people use this. It's a great buzzword. Language, culture, and borders. Language, culture, borders.
Yeah.
You can shove that home. That's something that people can chant. Yes, language, culture, borders. But the borders of the United States are historically porous. That this whole border patrol stuff is new. The language in the United States has never been set. Never has there been a national language, and New Mexico's constitution's written in 2 languages. What are you going to do with that?
Yeah, I just don't think that you can define a culture based on arbitrary geographic boundaries necessarily, because there's always going to be different people within those geographic
especially
boundaries.
Large boundaries.
Right. The larger that it is, the more absurd it becomes. But even just thinking all the way down to the boundaries of Keene, New Hampshire, where we live. I mean, is there a New Hampshire culture? No. I mean, you could make a general statement that New Hampshire people tend to be more X, Y, or Z, like they're more independent. They're more likely to support freedom.
But Keene people are less likely to do those things. You just said
and
Keene.
There's plenty of not so freedom-friendly people in New Hampshire. They came from Massachusetts. They came from Vermont, whatever. So, you can't define a culture based on a map. You certainly can't do it to the United States. You can't do it to New Hampshire. You can't even do it to Keene, New Hampshire, this tiny little town of, 23,000 people. There are a variety of different cultures that are here, different interests.
Wouldn't you say
groups
that there is an observable difference in culture between, say, Keene, New Hampshire, and
San Francisco,
Lancaster, New Hampshire? Wouldn't you say that?
Sure. You can see more. It's not an observable difference in the culture of the town necessarily, but you can observe things about the individuals, and you can say there are different cultures or groups or whatever within this particular geographic landmass. Like I see more people in Lancaster, which is in the northern part of the state. For listeners who don't know, it's a little town of 2,000, 2,500 or something.
That's where the Porcupine Freedom Festival and
Fork Fest
are.
Whenever I'm there, I notice there's a whole lot more bearded men riding ATVs. You see that in the streets.
Right.
You don't see that in Keene, New Hampshire, where it's
and they're likely to be
town.
open carrying a gun.
I didn't happen to notice that, but yes, it would be more likely in a place like that. But open carry happens here in Keene as well.
Does.
It happens all across New Hampshire. Does that mean New Hampshire has a gun culture? Well, I mean, I would say that New Hampshireites tend to be raised around guns. Even the Democrats here tend to be more friendly towards them. But ultimately, it's, again, just being so wide, casting that net, it just doesn't make any... It means nothing to me. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. The more you can drill down, the better defined a culture can become. The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. At least that's how I feel about it. What about you? You can join us here and take control of the airwaves. On the way, the 3D gun printing case. There's some pretty interesting news, and we're going to share that with you. And then also, Donald Trump makes another pardon. We'll tell you who received it. It's Free Talk Live.
90% of Americans say saving for retirement is one of their most important financial obligations, and more than 80% admit that they could have saved more. That's according to the latest survey from American Century Investments. The company's Diane Gallagher explains.
Having debt, not earning enough, and unexpected expenses remain the biggest reasons why Americans don't save more for retirement. And when it comes to actually putting money away, they gave themselves an average grade of C+.
For more results, visit AmericanCentury.com.
If you like alkaline water, or know someone that does, you're going to love the Dylan Living Water Bottle. It creates alkaline water on the go while reducing plastic waste and saving you money. Made with surgical-grade stainless steel, the Dylan bottle increases the pH up to 9 to deliver both alkaline and antioxidant water anywhere you want it. Alkaline water is healthier, tastes better, and can even boost energy. The Dylan bottle makes it easy and affordable to be healthy and achieve optimal hydration. Get your Dylan bottle today at dyln.co. That's dyln.co.
Fact. The new NSA data center in Utah requires 1.7 million gallons of water every single day to operate. Billions of Fourth Amendment violations need massive computers and the water to cool them. That water is being supplied by the state of Utah. Fact. There's absolutely nothing in the Constitution which requires your state to help the feds violate your rights. Our message to Utah: turn it off. No water, equals no NSA data center. Visit offnow.org.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment, walking down the street, to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can take control of the airwaves here. Bring up whatever is on your mind. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom, 855-450-3733. And we've got Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. Big news to share from the case of Cody Wilson and Defense Distributed. That's what we're going to jump into next here. But speaking of defense, it would really help if you had cameras at your house to defend your house if indeed somebody attempts to take something from it or break in and do who knows what. Because if you've got the Blink Home security system, your house has a little bit more defense than it did previously. And it will send you the video clips of the things that happen in front of the Blink Home security cameras to whatever device it is that you've got the Blink app installed on. And so wherever you happen to be in the world, presuming you have an internet connection, you'll know what's going on at home if you got the Blink Home security system installed. And it's super easy to do that because it's wireless. The cameras themselves are wireless. You just unbox, you put the batteries in the cameras, and then just put them up wherever you want them. If you need to move them around, no problem. Get a better angle, no big deal. You don't have to run a bunch of wires around. So it's super easy. And I don't think it could get any easier. I've been through the process of setting this thing up, and I was thinking, is there any other way this could be done that could be any easier? I don't think so. Go to blinkprotect.com/FTL. You can get your Blink Home security system at 15% off the already surprisingly affordable prices.
It's very affordable. Basically, home security has been brought to the masses.
Yeah, for sure.
More or less. If you want home security, you can put aside this amount of money. It is small.
Amazon liked it so much they bought the company.
Yeah.
blinkprotect.com/FTL, like Free Talk Live. Here's this story here. By the way, there's a very, very lengthy, detailed version of this at wired.com by Andy Greenberg. That's the same guy who wrote all the articles about the Silk Road case back in the day. He's a great writer. So I'm not going to share that one because it's way too detailed. This one is Brian Doherty at Hit and Run blog on Reason.com. The Justice Department has reached a settlement with the Second Amendment Foundation and Defense Distributed, a collective that organizes, promotes, and distributes technologies to help home gun makers. Under the agreement, which resolved a suit filed by the two groups in 2015, Americans may, quote, access, discuss, use, reproduce, or otherwise benefit from the technical data, unquote, that the government had previously ordered Defense Distributed to
cease distributing. Before this, the feds had insisted that Defense Distributed's gun-making files violate the munitions export rules embedded in the International Traffic in Arms Regulations, also known as ITAR. So essentially, what the government tried to say here, for listeners who are unfamiliar with this story, because it's an important story.
Yeah, it's very important from sort of a philosophical and
this is a free
standpoint.
speech.
Yeah,
not only freedom of your right to bear arms, but the freedom of speech. Because ultimately, what we're talking about is 3D printing guns. Here, it was Cody Wilson, this guy from Austin, Texas, who came out with the what they call the Liberator. This was the world's first 3D printed gun.
Yep.
And it was really like a one-shot kind of gun. You're not supposed to fire it more than one time, otherwise it could blow up in your hand, that kind of thing. It's not exactly
Although
safe.
the one that I've seen has already been fired twice.
No doubt. Just saying, that's what I've heard, Mark, is that you're not supposed to fire it more than once.
Right. There's a World War II gun called the Liberator,
yeah.
and it was basically for assassinations in Vichy, France, and the intention was to take down Nazi officers, that somebody would sacrifice themselves, presumably, to take down a Nazi officer with one of these things. And they were dropped all over the place. And I don't know that they were ever used successfully, but they were an interesting idea.
Right. So he came out with that, and then the next thing that he did that made big headlines was this ghost gunner, which you described earlier. It essentially assists in creating from scratch, basically, a gun without any kind of trace. You put the parts in and or the metal or whatever. I'm not exactly sure how it works.
It's a little router, and it makes the parts that you have that are called a gun by the government.
Yeah.
It makes those parts.
Right. Normally, you'd have to buy them from somebody, but
and
in
you
this
have
case,
to buy in this case you have to buy accessories, but the accessories aren't guns, so
legally.
they don't have the all the problems.
No tracking,
and this
no
just
forms.
Blows away every would-be high school student that wants to run for office and say, we got to do something about school shootings, because it doesn't have to do with to whom we sell guns anymore. Now, any lunatic that can put together the the course of action to buy a ghost gunner can,
which is what, a few grand or something. It's not that expensive.
I think it's like $1,700.
Yeah. I remember we were talking with we were at Defense Distributed in Austin earlier this year.
I've got pictures to prove it.
Yeah, we were talking with Cody Wilson, and he was telling us that these things are very affordable, and essentially as soon as you print your first gun or two, it's paid for itself.
It pays for itself. So, this person can arm up with as many AR-15s.
You could arm an army with, a few of these machines.
Yeah, if you have some time, you can make your own militia.
Yeah. And nobody would know. There would be no government files. There would be no ATF forms. There would be none of the, the crap that you have to all these hoops you got to jump through to buy a gun legally at the store. You don't have to do that with the ghost gunner. So as you can imagine, this makes some people very, very angry. And so what he did was he'd put out these files, these 3D printing files on the internet.
Right, so you can make these lowers rather than having to get them from other people. Like now he can distribute them. So here's what happened. It's like the barbers.
They came at him.
It's like the Streisand effect. So he releases them, somebody downloads them, and then that person releases them, and then then more people release them, and it just keeps on going and going and going. So the government went after Cody Wilson because he was the first, and he's the most boisterous. But they really
don't know who's got them.
They couldn't stop this.
Right.
This was only a court case to see whether or not they were allowed to stop him.
Well, they went after him and stopped him. So because they basically put an injunction in against him saying, you cannot distribute this because it violates the International Traffic in Arms Regulations. And their argument was basically, well, we're the government, and you're supposed to have freedom of speech. Yeah, it says that in the Constitution. But this is an overriding governmental interest because we can't allow the, ISIS or any of the other world bad guys to get their hands on gun printing abilities. So that's what their argument was. Well, you could speak this, Cody, if you wanted to your neighbors here in America. But you can't just put this on the internet. You could share a file directly with somebody in your office. You can't just put this on the internet because then evil, bad terrorist people could get their hands on these files. That was their argument, and he countersued saying this is freedom of speech, and that's what we're going to get into here.
Yeah.
So, according to his suit, they claimed that this was censorship of the plaintiff's speech, since the files in question consist of computer code and thus count as expression. It also argued that the, quote, ad hoc, informal, and arbitrary manner in which that scheme is applied violate the First, Second, and Fifth Amendments. The second because the information in the computer files implicates weapons possession rights. In what's a very unusual move in ITAR actions, the government will pay more than $39,000 of the plaintiff's legal and administrative fees. So again, they settled this case. Cody Wilson, and it's interesting that they're actually saying what the settlement is, right? Because a lot of times settlements, can't talk about this. It's one of the terms. The plaintiffs, so they'll pay more than $39,000 of legal fees. Cody Wilson, the chieftain of Defense Distributed, told Wired that this is only about 10%, though, of what they've actually spent on attorneys. That Wired story is mostly devoted to scaring the reader about what a world in which people are freer to use computer files to make weapons at home might mean. Wilson is open that
it might mean all kinds of things. One of the things it might mean is that, governments around the world that currently have acted with impunity, that have
oppressing their people, you mean?
Well, they've done whatever the hell they want, and oppressing people has long been the hobby of governments. When they're not wiping them out in genocidal mass killings, they're just oppressing them. That's what governments have done. We've got 9,000 years to kind of take a look. And there's always the moving them from their homeland. There's a few different varieties of how this is looked. But, if some people in their country can come up with some guns that, are off the record or whatever, and use them, maybe it'll stop some governments from doing some bad things. At least that's the concept behind the Second Amendment, right? Mm-hmm. A group of people so angry with their government, they shot them center of mass, wanted to institute the ability to do that to themselves.
That at some level, it keeps them in check, although arguably it hasn't done that much.
I would agree.
More coming up here in moments. 855-450 free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. More on this case, because this is really good news, and it's a pleasant surprise. More coming up here. This is Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Dynavite for life.
Pick up 2 tubes of Doggo Suds.
Get the 3rd tube free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Doggo Sud shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe. Great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Doggo Suds. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH, with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com. That's wallet.bitcoin.com.
It's been said, any society is only 3 missed meals away from chaos. Those times may be near. Think about it. Our country faces multiple terrorist threats and aggressions from Russia and North Korea. Social unrest and violent marches yet again may lead to looting of stores and city shutdowns. And our crumbling infrastructure leaves our power grid vulnerable to long-term outages from a single cyber attack. When the chaos from any one of these threats arises, the government knows it can't provide during a widespread national emergency. That's why you need your own plan for self-reliance. That's where My Patriot Supply comes in. Get a 4-week survival food supply for only $99. That includes breakfast, lunches, and dinners. Order online at preparewithgcn.com. $99 for 4 weeks of survival food that tastes like homemade cooking and lasts up to 25 years. From My Patriot Supply. Get your kits today at preparewithgcn.com. Free shipping is included. Preparewithgcn.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people like passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to bipcot.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, dial toll free, bring up what you want. Toll free number is 855-450 free, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Freedom of speech, the freedom of speech to share gun information, specifically plans to build guns, specifically 3D printable plans to build guns, is what the federal government wanted to stop Defense Distributed from distributing on their website, to where anybody anywhere in the world can download these 3D printable gun plans. They can purchase one of these ghost gunners, these hardware, basically printing, manufacturing devices from Defense Distributed, and then build their own guns from scratch, essentially, without any trace, hence the name Ghost Gunner. And they've won now in a court settlement where not only will Defense Distributed be receiving more than $39,000 to cover some of his legal fees, although he says it's only about 10% of what they've spent on this, they're also allowing him at this point to distribute those files. More from the story here at Reason.com. Also, want to make sure you know about our website over at freetalklive.com. We've got a satellite fundraiser that's going on, and I don't talk a whole lot about it, but it's there. It's our Patreon for satellite supporters, people that like the idea that we're getting the ideas of liberty and freedom and peace and cryptocurrency on free-to-air satellite across the world in sub-Saharan Africa and North and Central America. If you want to help support that mission to reach all kinds of people around the globe with the ideas of freedom, then please go to patreon.lrn.fm and you can support us there for $2 a month or more if you like, and we appreciate that. So once again, that's patreon.lrn.fm. As we go to more here from Reason.com about the Defense Distributed case. The Wired story, they say here, is they claim trying to scare the reader about a scary world in which people can just, print whatever guns they want. And Cody Wilson, who's the guy behind Defense Distributed, is open that as far as he's concerned, he's now killed the cause of gun control by popularizing the home construction of weapons via computer instructions.
It's a bold claim, like gun control is dead.
Is over.
It's a bold claim, but it is not entirely unfounded.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not everybody is going to get into this particular hobby, but this is
like saying
big
that
loophole that
now that you can grow marijuana legally at your house, the drug war is over. I mean,
yeah,
but
the government's still going to go on enforcing their stupid gun control laws. But ultimately, at this point, anyone who wants a gun can get one.
Badly enough, yeah.
Anyone who wants a gun completely untraceable can get one. So, going on here, the Wired also speculates that the settlement is some kind of a Trump administration bending over backwards to satisfy a Second Amendment constituency. Alan Gura, one of the lawyers on the plaintiff's side and the attorney who won both the 2008 Heller case and 2010's McDonald, two major Supreme Court victories for gun rights, disagrees, noting the administration's record in other ongoing Second Amendment cases. Quote, this administration maintained the Obama Department of Justice cert petition in Binder Up, which was denied 7-2, and has consistently opposed all other as-applied Second Amendment challenges, including Cantor, Hatfield, Medina. These are cases I don't know, and probably you don't either. And then he cites more. He says they've also continued defending the appeal in Mance regarding gun purchases across state lines, and they had over a year to change their minds, see the light, and admit that the district court was right, but they stuck to their appeal, which unfortunately they won, and we're defending against the currently pending en banc petition. There are other cases they defend, some, of course, less meritorious, but any notion that Trump is pro-gun and having the Department of Justice roll over would be fantasy. So essentially he's citing these multiple cases, saying the Department of Justice has been going whole hog trying to restrict gun rights, even under Trump. That's what all those words essentially meant. The more likely factor behind the settlement, he believes, is that the government, quote, realized that not a single Fifth Circuit judge offered that they were likely to succeed on the merits. To the contrary, the centerpiece of their victory was that they could somehow avoid the merits. When they could avoid the merits no longer, suddenly the national security threat faded away. In the press release, the Second Amendment Foundation notes its favorite aspect of this settlement. Quote, significantly, the government expressly acknowledges that non-automatic firearms up to .50 caliber, including modern semi-auto sporting rifles such as the popular AR-15 and similar firearms, are not inherently military. Quote,
I do like that. I don't like using the term non-automatic because semi-automatic is automatic. Like...
No, it's not. It's a semi-automatic.
Yeah,
it only fires as often as you pull the trigger.
Agreed, but it does so automatically. It's an automatic, not in the same way, but it's.
If by automatic you mean that when you pull the trigger, the slide
it automatically feeds another bullet into.
Yeah,
the
I guess that's just probably not the definition of automatic legally, Mark. So,
I don't know what the definition of automatic is legally.
I don't know either, but my understanding has always been that an automatic is when you hold a trigger down, it will continue to fire until the magazine is empty. That is what an automatic will do.
That's what
it will automatically process through.
Yeah, that's what an automatic is. But a non-automatic would, to me, suggest non-semi-automatic too.
Okay. So anyway, that was just the Second Amendment Foundation's interpretation of this quote.
And it's all opinions.
Quote, not only is this a First Amendment victory for... this is Second Amendment founder, Vice President Alan Gottlieb. He wrote, not only is this a First Amendment victory for free speech, it's also a devastating blow to the gun prohibition lobby. For years, anti-gunners have contended that modern semi-automatic sport utility rifles are so-called weapons of war. And with this settlement, the government has acknowledged they are nothing of the sort. Under this settlement, Gottlieb continued, he said the government will draft and pursue regulatory amendments that eliminate ITAR control over the technical information at the center of this case. They will transfer export jurisdiction to the Commerce Department, which does not impose prior restraint on public speech. That will allow Defense Distributed and the Second Amendment Foundation to publish information about 3D technology. Unquote. Since this is a settlement, writes Reason.com, and not a victory on the merits in the court, the government is still officially insisting their actions didn't violate any rights. But an optimistic Gura thinks the courts might remember this episode the next time the government offers up a spurious national security claim. The government says the removal of these legal restrictions will be announced by July 27th on the director of the Defense Trade Control's website. In return for that action, the plaintiffs agreed to drop the lawsuit. Case closed.
It's unequivocal victory.
Kudos to Cody Wilson and his attorneys for taking this case on. It was years in the making, started back in 2015. Very, very costly. He said about $400,000 spent in legal fees, attorney's fees, and all that. The government's only going to cut them a $40,000 check, basically. So they're still in the hole quite a bit on this.
Yeah, I hope some people give them some money, but I hope people have been giving him money all along, honestly.
Yeah. So if you've been, waiting for your opportunity to dig deeper into this world of 3D printed guns because you were afraid of, government prosecution or whatever, well, it looks like there's some pretty good news in this field.
There's a huge community already of people who are putting their own stuff together because they've only gone after Wilson.
Oh, they're backed up with orders.
Yeah.
When we were at the manufacturing
facility,
facility,
I don't want to advertise. I got too many. Too
right,
many
he
orders.
didn't want to advertise on Free Talk Live. Yeah, they can't. They can barely fill the orders that they're receiving there. So
it's a nice problem to have.
It is a good problem to have, and it does show that there is a large amount of interest in this. And so anyway, that's great news. I'm glad to see it. Kudos to this particular court for allowing the settlement to go through as is. So if you want to join us here, you can take control of the airwaves. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. There's a place in the world where people really could use a ghost gunner, and that would be Venezuela. Or maybe a handful of ghost gunners in Venezuela.
What do you think you'd do with all the AR-15s you needed in Venezuela?
Well, you obviously would have to acquire the ammunition as well. You can't ghost gun that
the ammo.
yet.
What would you do then?
Well, personally, I don't believe in violence necessarily, but ultimately the Venezuelan government is a violent, terrible government that is currently basically starving its people to death through the process of hyperinflation. And at some point, they need to be displaced. They need to be run out of office. The Maduro, the president of the country, needs to no longer be the president of that country. Now, if the people of Venezuela had access to weapons, they would better be able to not only defend themselves against the ongoing marauders in that place.
There's a lot of there was fighting in the streets. The reason there was fighting in the streets is a lot of the people in Venezuela like what Maduro's doing. Now, I'm not saying they're majority, but ultimately, you got the right people have to have the guns, not everybody having to have the guns. You understand?
Well, you don't get to choose.
You don't.
So right now, the government has the guns, and the government's goons have the guns.
Yep, governments always have the guns.
So more regular people need to have guns in a place like Venezuela, in my opinion. And that's something that the Ghost Gunner can help make possible, as you were alluding to earlier, Mark, that people in countries that are being oppressed can just get one of these ghost gunners. Now, of course, can they import that? I don't know. But I suspect Cody has the plans for the ghost gunner available as well. Because that just seems to be the kind of guy he would be, right? Like, yeah, we'll build this for you. But if you want to build your own ghost gunner, if you're in Iran or something like that, you're in some place where you can't ship a thing from the United States. And I suspect he's doing that too. There's more coming up here. It's Free Talk Live.
I tried other brands, but I came back to my Sunshine.
For the best hot or cold pain relief, get the best. Get a Sunny Bay heating pad.
Sometimes life can be a pain in the neck, or back, or shoulder.
And the best relief for that pain is a Sunny Bay heating pad. Did you know that the American College of Physicians said that one of the best ways to treat muscle pain is heat therapy? Sunny Bay heating pads are handmade with high quality, can be used at home or at work, and have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy.
Why take another pill?
Many people use our Sunny Bay heating pads alone and got rid of the neck pain.
Long distance travel or long hours in front of a computer can take its toll on your body.
Our homegrown small business tries to help people just like us. That's why we design and test our handmade products with great care before we introduce them to the public. You can easily find Sunny Bay heating pads on Amazon. Just go to Amazon.com and search for Sunny Bay heating pads.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, July 10th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.07 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,254 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $21, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,368. Antiwar.com reports after his North Korea and Japan visit, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo made a surprise stop-off in Afghanistan on Monday, offering U.S. support for peace talks between the Ghani government and the Taliban. This and Pompeo's promise that the U.S. was willing to take part is a change in policy. In January, President Trump had ruled out any U.S. involvement in peace talks with the Taliban, saying the U.S. did not want talks and it's going to be a long time before that changed. Pompeo, by contrast, said the talks needed to be Afghan-led and that the U.S. would have an important role, but only to the extent the Afghans took the lead. Ghani has been trying to court talks with the Taliban for a while, including a brief ceasefire. Pompeo went on to insist President Trump's escalation in Afghanistan is working despite the amount of territory held by the government continuing to shrink. He said the U.S. escalation was forcing the Taliban towards negotiation. The Taliban has yet to accept the negotiations. Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at Zencash.com. That's Zencash.com. UPI reports California's Klamathon fire has destroyed more than 81 structures, prompting evacuations in the affected area on Monday. CAL FIRE said the fire in Siskiyou County, which began Thursday, had burned 35,250 acres and was 30% contained. One person died in the blaze and 3 more have been injured. A total of 2,716 fire personnel and 199 fire engines were dispatched to combat the blaze. The county fire in Napa and Yolo counties increased in size to 90,288 acres on Monday and was about 73% contained. CAL FIRE said firefighters were working to mop up and strengthen control lines as unburned pockets of fuel continue to burn within the interior of the fire. No deaths or injuries have been reported from that blaze, which began June 29th, but it has destroyed 16 structures. The Georges fire in Inyo County was caused by lightning on Sunday afternoon and had grown to 2,000 acres by Monday. CAL FIRE sent 20 fire engines to combat that blaze, but did not specify how much had been contained. Near Los Angeles, the Valley Fire grew in size to 1,348 acres and was about 13% contained, while the 100-acre Box Fire was about 80% contained. Both blazes took place in San Bernardino County. The Creek Fire in San Bernardino National Forest was about 33 acres in size and 94% contained as of Monday. Further north, the Lions Fire had no growth over the weekend, remained at 4,064 acres in size and about 90% containment in the Sierra National Forest. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports President Donald Trump on Monday announced Brett Kavanaugh as his nominee for the U.S. Supreme Court, picking a conservative federal appeals court judge who survived a previous tough Senate confirmation battle and helped investigate former President Bill Clinton in the 1990s. In picking the 53-year-old Kavanaugh, Trump aimed to entrench conservative control of the court for years to come with his second lifetime appointment to the nation's highest judicial body in his first 18 months as president. Kavanaugh now faces what appears to be another fierce fight for confirmation in the Senate, where Trump's fellow Republicans hold a slim majority. If confirmed, Kavanaugh would replace long-serving conservative Justice Anthony Kennedy, who announced his retirement on June 27th at the age of 81. Trump told an applauding audience in the East Room of the White House, "Throughout legal circles, he's considered a judge's judge, a true thought leader among his peers." Kavanaugh has amassed a solidly conservative judicial record since 2006 on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, the same court where 3 current justices, including Chief Justice John Roberts, previously served. Kavanaugh served as a senior White House official under former President George W. Bush before being nominated to the appeals court in 2003. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
The NFL announces a new zero-tolerance policy on videotape domestic violence. A puzzled nation can remember the name Ferguson, but is not sure from where. And a man wearing an M&M jacket is apparently made in God's image. This is the Onion Week in Review. Tech giant Apple unveiled a brief, fleeting moment of excitement to the general public. The short-lived, ephemeral sense of wonder was released in front of an exclusive group of reporters and industry insiders at Apple's Silicon Valley headquarters.
Apple really made us wait, but this rapidly diminishing glimmer of pleasure was totally worth it. It was 100% better than any other temporary joys I've ever experienced.
And in this week's local news, an uneasy détente forms between a man sitting on a patio and a bee. In other news, a poll finds 80% of Americans would get in a vehicle with a stranger for a chance at a new life. Bank of America introduces a new $50 underdraft fee, and the nation's huggers announce plans for you to get over here.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want. Our number here, 855-450-FREE like freedom, 855-450-3733. Coming up, a little bit about the Space Force. That's right. You remember that story from a few weeks ago.
I think that's great.
Yeah, there's some pretty hilarious stuff that went on, I guess, The Daily Show that I thought I wanted to share with you just because it was that funny. They interviewed some Trump supporters about their opinions about the Space Force. It's Ian and Mark here in the studio with you tonight. Mark, you also want to talk about, speaking of media, the mainstream media. There's a study that you found about how apparently there's one group of people that's still on board with believing the mainstream media, and you'll share that with us coming up here tonight. But to continue, a topic that I kind of barely touched on at the very end of the last hour, brought up Venezuela again here on Free Talk Live. It's a situation that we've been following here for several years, at least, on the air to see, watch this socialist hellhole crumble into just a terrifying situation for the poor people that live there. It's awful, and hyperinflation is ravaging their economy. Right now, $1 will buy you approximately 3.5 million bolivar. 3.5 million bolivar.
For a buck.
For $1 in Venezuela.
Hasn't moved yet to Zimbabwe standards, but it's on its way.
It is in hyperinflation, absolutely.
I think now is a good time to mention to all the listeners that you and I are multi-trillionaires. We have, stapled to the wall over here, a...
yeah, it's right here in the studio.
$10 trillion bill. Now it's from Zimbabwe.
Only one person can hold that bill at a time, though.
Well, I mean...
the studio is holding it at the moment.
We have possession of it.
You are the one who has the closest. You have active possession of it. You could stop me if I wanted to go and try to actually take that off the wall.
like the way you think. That you exist.
That makes you a trillionaire.
That I am a multi-trillionaire. Yeah. You are but a pauper. And... I mean, ultimately, we've got this. The government said it's money at one point at least, and we've got it. So,
and it's funny now because it's sitting on the wall here, and it's a cute point that we can make on the air. But the people who were living under that situation,
it's devastating.
We're probably starving or near starvation, and that's what's going on in Venezuela, where people are losing weight year after year because they don't get enough food because it's just not available. Not only that, but transportation.
Statism kills.
Well, literally. And we've talked about how just of a dire situation it is there. They can't get medicine. They can't get toilet paper. They can't get chickens. They can't get, toothpaste. They can't get the basic items that we all take for granted in our comfortable lives today. They can't get them.
Right. You can't even, if you have a chicken in Venezuela, you're probably sleeping with it.
To keep it alive?
Right. Well, I mean, yeah.
Because somebody else is going to steal it?
If you kept it outdoors, somebody's going to take it, wring its neck, and, kill it.
Absolutely. So, we talked about the medicines. We talked about the food. We talked about those situations. But what about transportation? Because we had discussed...
They have lots of oil there. Supposedly, they're smuggling gasoline and oil out of the country to get necessities to smuggle them in.
Yeah, but you're talking about the black market activities, and there are,
that's going to happen.
And if you're going to get food, it's probably going to be from, the black market. If you're going to get, grocery style products or whatever at all in Venezuela, that's likely where it's coming from. But the only aspect of transportation that we've really touched on prior to this story we're going to tell you about is the sort of the highwaymen, the robbers on the roads who have been waylaying truckers and literally just robbing them blind of whatever kind of food they might have on those trucks.
It's got to look like Mad Max out there, because
that's what it is.
These people are desperate enough that they're just going to run out in the middle of the road to try to do whatever they can.
Yeah,
to
they're
stop
putting
you.
spike strips and running people
shooting,
off the road,
shooting people right out of the driver's seat, that kind of thing.
Well,
and
there's
the
some of
truckers
them
are
who
probably
won't.
just running them over if they have to.
It's getting very intense. So that's one of the stories we shared here with you. Now here's more about sort of just the day-to-day, because even though the economy is screwed, people still got to get stuff done, Even though the hyperinflation is destroying the quality of life in Venezuela, people still got lives to live.
Yeah.
They still have places to go. They have things to do. But how do you get there if you can't afford it? If you can't afford it, like here in the U.S., your car's broken down? Well, you can take a cab. According to the AFP, packed inside a barred pickup truck that looks like a mobile cage. You've seen those chicken cage trucks?
Yeah.
Where there's like a bunch of chickens shoved in that cage. They're driving around or whatever. Now imagine that for human beings. You seen those cages with the dogs in them stacked up in China where they're eating dogs?
No.
You've never seen those pictures?
No.
You can go look it up. Dogs in cages, China, whatever. This is kind of like that. Far from banning the kennels, as they're known, due to a spate of fatal accidents, governors and mayors are even launching their own fleets, free of charge. This is the solution to a public transport crisis. In the Libertarian municipality hometown of President Nicolas Maduro, himself a former bus driver, the words "loving Caracas" can be read on the transport trucks. But that belies the reality of a situation in which 55 people have died since April using improvised transportation methods such as these kennels. By the way, this story again, the AFP reporting here in May, 16 people died in Merida in just one accident. Livestock cage. Danger aside, the trucks are uncomfortable to ride in. Quote, "They're as ugly as can be. It's like riding in a livestock cage. You get bumped here, bumped there," said Jose Miguel, a 20-year-old bricklayer from the Caracas suburb of Los Valles de Tuy. He told AFP. "It's a joke," he added. "Damn it, if you're going to provide a bus service, how can you use a kennel?" The government, though, blames the crisis on labor unions and has accused them of sabotage.
Well,
public transport in Venezuela, it's never the government's fault. They've always got somebody to blame there.
There's always somebody.
Public transport in Venezuela is provided by private companies.
To hear socialists blaming labor unions, the desperation is set in.
Right? It is the end of this particular society. According to the story, the public transport in Venezuela is provided by private companies that have a permit to carry passengers. But 90% of the public transport fleet has been paralyzed by hyperinflation. Providers simply can't earn enough to pay for spare parts, so they cease to run their buses. A bus with a capacity of 30 people can generate only about 5 million bolivar a day. But for example, a spare tire on the black market costs 1 billion bolivars. So you just can't do it. It's not possible.
Why is the pickup truck working then?
Well, it's somebody who's shoving 30 passengers into the square footage of a pickup truck, basically. So you're getting, whatever kind of economy of scale there that you can get.
Sounds to me like the bus companies need to hire some pickup trucks or just shove their buses more full.
Hyperinflation has scourged us all, says Oscar Gutierrez, a bus driver and union leader in Miranda State. He says of 12,000 buses, only 10% remain. The same problem triggered the collapse.
Like in existence or just on the road?
I suspect that means on the road. But who knows? They might have just cannibalized the existing buses to pull parts out of to keep some of the buses running.
I imagine that's the case.
Because
it would have to be.
Unless the parts... Well, first of all, presumably they're getting a lot of the auto parts from outside of Venezuela, if they can get the auto parts. And then you're encountering the same problems that every other industry is encountered in Venezuela, which is to say that you cannot buy things from outside of Venezuela with a bolivar. So you have to amass U.S. dollars in order, or euro or whatever it is they'll accept, in order to purchase an oil filter or a
but it's hard,
set of tires.
Nearly impossible to get those other currencies.
You can get it, but you can't legally import anything. So, like, if you want to get an oil filter for your car, you'd have to contact somebody in the black market who then might be able to smuggle it in for you somehow. Because you can't order a pallet full of them from, AC Delco. They're not going to send it to you because you can't afford to buy it. You can't spend U.S. dollars legally on products in Venezuela. So you can't, as an auto parts store, just buy inventory.
Yeah.
Because you can't get you can't use the thing that you need to use anymore to get this. I mean, it's just crazy.
Everything's gone black market.
Yeah. So, and that means that, the black marketeers are going to do what they can to get the thing to you because they're going to get paid.
Yeah, they want to get paid.
But they don't have the same distribution channels. They don't have the ability to buy in volume when it comes to auto parts.
Also, if they take your money, they might not give you the product because, well, why would they?
Well, there's more coming up here in moments. I mean, to some extent, unless they're going to come into a town and then leave, they could probably be found. More coming up here. It's Free Talk Live.
This November, I'll be running the world's biggest and most popular marathon, the New York City Marathon, as a member of Team Innocence Project. The Innocence Project was the first legal organization to systematically apply DNA testing to cases of wrongful convictions as a powerful tool to reveal innocence. It's already been an extraordinary year for the Innocence Project and their clients. They've already freed more innocent people in the past 12 months than in any year in the history of the Innocence Project, and they're gearing up to do even more. The attorneys and paralegals for the Innocence Project are dedicated to doing whatever it takes to set an innocent person free. To support them, a new cohort of law students have recently joined and are excited to help with more than 200 cases of clients seeking to prove their innocence. 9 clients have been exonerated and reunited with their families in 2018 already, and your support now will help build on the incredible momentum of exonerations. You can support the Innocence Project by going to run.freetalklive.com. That's run.freetalklive.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH, with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com. That's wallet.bitcoin.com.
Are you making sense to the boomer mindset? I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. 80 million baby boomers comprise 25% of the population and control most of the USA's wealth. As aging parents pass on, they'll control more. Boomers are 46 to 65 years old and regard themselves as midlife. They identify as neither young nor old. They're post-minivan and pre-retirement, and they don't like being called boomers. They think me. Many of the purchases boomer couples make are individual purposes. They've been experimenters all their lives. If you want their attention, tell stories and keep it simple. If something seems complicated, boomers can dismiss it as, I don't need this. And if you're looking for work, you may be applying to a boomer, so relate accordingly. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Lil Drums. Every bit as fun as a full-size Nestle drumstick cone, and definitely cuter. Visit us at drumstick.com. Vacations are all about family time, but you don't have to leave home to have fun. Take 1 weekend a month and devote it to family activities. Pull out the board games and puzzles, serve up some treats, or have a picnic. Even without leaving home, you'll feel like you've really had some time away. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can take control of the airwaves here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about an absolutely terrible situation that just continues to spiral down into the pits of despair. It's Venezuela, focusing on the transportation, or the lack of any decent transportation in Venezuela. That's what we're talking about here tonight. At this moment, with you in the studio, it's Ian.
And Mark.
And also want to make sure you know that there's the Tom Woods podcast out there. You might have heard of Tom Woods during the Ron Paul campaigns of 2008 and 2012. He's a New York Times bestselling author and has written over a dozen books, including The Politically Incorrect Guide to American History. Since September of
I have that one.
Since September of 2013, Tom Woods has been putting out the Tom Woods Show every single weekday, which means he's racked up nearly 1,200 episodes so far. And that's a big library. You can search for, of course, different guests like Ron Paul and Judge Andrew Napolitano, David Stockman, and hundreds more, talking about things like the war, Federal Reserve, net neutrality, the FDA, Austrian economics, and many other subjects of interest to libertarians. Find the Tom Woods Show online at tomwoods.com or search for Tom Woods Show in your favorite podcatcher.
Do you think it's harder to do a podcast? I'm talking sort of emotionally, psychologically, harder to do a podcast than it is to do a radio program. Let me support that statement.
I don't do a podcast.
I understand.
We podcast the show, but we do a radio show first and foremost.
You may be better qualified than most to answer the question, though. And I'm just thinking, if it's a podcast, you're not accountable to anyone except your listeners. So if you decide, well, it's, and I don't know what time he does his show, if it's live or anything like that, but
I don't think he's live.
I've heard the show, and let's say he does it at 10 o'clock every day. Well, you can kind of fudge that. Oh, I'm late. How about 10:15? Mm-hmm. Well, at any point you could just say, not today.
Sure.
And
that's the nice thing about podcasts.
You can't
can produce when you want.
You can't do that on the radio.
Right. We got to be here at a certain time every single day.
We owe it to our stations. We owe it to our listeners, those kind of things. So we're more nailed to it.
Yeah.
Whereas a podcast, somebody producing a podcast, Tom Woods is clearly showing here a high level of initiative, I guess is what I'm saying.
He's there every day doing it.
Yeah. Amazing.
And that's almost unmatched. I mean, there's very, very few people who are doing it at that level, are doing a libertarian podcast at that level.
Yeah.
Check him out. So we're talking about the just absolutely dismal situation in Venezuela, which is it's a bunch of different factors mixed in together here that's creating a situation where people, because there are so few providers for transport, meaning if you don't have your own car, which would be very hard to maintain, given the prices of parts in Venezuela. If you got a car, good luck if it breaks down, right? You better cross your fingers and hope that you can maintain that sucker in working order without having to spend too much money, because as soon as it breaks down, you're likely not going to get it back on the road.
Yeah, it's unlikely you're going to get it back on the road, and that means
unless you're very, very wealthy.
The more you drive it, you better know how to fix things too.
Yeah.
But the more you drive it, the more likely it is to break down. So now you're talking about an increased cost of transporting people. So, I mean, if my truck that I'm going to take out and drive you around in is going to break, and it will, inevitably,
it's inevitable.
Everything will break, and I'm unlikely to be able to get it back on the road, then I have to basically get from you everything I'm going to get from you much earlier than I would if I was providing you transportation every day.
And you can't save the money that you earn, if people are paying you in Bolivar, you better have a way to go convert that to dollars real fast, or cryptocurrency,
or chickens, or whatever,
whatever. Because you wait a day, you wait a week, your Venezuelan Bolivar is now worth half of what it was.
Right, Weimar Germany stuff.
So you don't have the ability to save. If you're a car, if you're a provider of transport services, you can't just sock away the money that you're earning, because it will be worth nothing by the time you actually need to buy the oil filter or whatever.
And don't forget the gasoline is perishable.
That too. So there's the fact that hyperinflation is making it impossible to get car parts. That's one thing. But also, as they point out here, the people who are providing or supposed to legally provide public transportation are licensed private companies.
Yep. They've also thrown up their hands and walked away.
They can't afford to repair their fleets. So give up. Well, if you have to have a license to provide transport services, specifically a private transport license, meaning that not just a driver's license, but a license to be a cab, essentially, then that's restricting the marketplace. So if somebody's out there who was willing to give another person a ride, they can't legally do it. You can't just buy a bus and hit the road and then, drive around and pick people up and drop people off. Not legally.
When a government's in the kind of condition Venezuela's in, laws really just don't matter anymore.
You don't think anybody's enforcing that one?
How could they?
I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to spot any bus on the road and ask them if they've got their permits, right? Because there aren't very many of them.
Yeah, well, against whom are they competing? Who are they driving out of the market?
That's a good point. But anyways, what they're saying here is that the governments are the ones who are now providing this service. So because the private companies are basically decimated by the hyperinflation, now you've got these what they call kennels. So imagine a truck with a fence in the back and just loaded full of people to the max in the back of that truck. That's what the governments are now driving people around it. And maybe the reason why they can do it, Mark, is because they're governments and they're subsidizing it. Maybe that's why it's even possible. According to the story here, the same problem triggered the collapse of the Caracas metro system, which had been effectively free, as the absurd price of tickets couldn't cover operational costs. According to Gutierrez, bus drivers have resorted to remarkable measures to try to eke out a living, avoiding work during the hottest hours in order to extend the life of their tires. Venezuela's buses are
never heard that before, but it makes sense. Yeah. The hotter the tire gets, the gummier it gets. The gummier it gets, the more it's going to rub off. Yeah.
Venezuela's buses are the oldest in the region, but not because they don't have newer ones. Gutierrez says, quote, "The government imported newer buses in 2015, but already there's a cemetery for those buses. That same government couldn't maintain them." The outlook is bleak. The International Monetary Fund has projected inflation in Venezuela will reach 13,800% this year, with the country already feeling the backlash.
That won't get better. And It's not the fault of the United States. It's not the fault of the trade unions. It's not the fault of anybody that Venezuela is talking about here. This is because their rapacious government attempted to nationalize everything that was profitable, just ate it, gob, 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 destroyed it, and now, the rich got rich. By the rich, I mean the government rich, because the rich people either left Venezuela or became poor.
If they're smart.
Yeah.
Yep. That'll reach 13,800%, with the country already feeling the backlash through food and medicine shortages. The lack of buses in operation meant private truck owners started carting around passengers before Maduro's government decided to roll out their own fleet free of charge. So the crisis apparently has spread all over the country. In the oil-rich state of Zulia, the most populated, Henry Morales has to wait hours to go anywhere, however he can. He says, "I've ridden on garbage trucks, dump trucks, and trucks without roofs," said the 51-year-old hospital worker. Added to the lack of buses is the lack of banknotes. A single journey can cost you 30,000 bolivar, but banks only distribute 100,000 bolivars per day, leaving people with a delicate and daily balancing act over how to spend their meager resources. More coming up here.
And those bolivars become worth less every day.
Yeah, by the hour, basically, at this point. 855, 450, free like freedom. You can join us on the radio. This is Free Talk Live.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun. which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. So much fun, you'll forget you have a wife and kids. $39.95 and free economy shipping. Use discount code GCN and get an extra 10% off your purchase at bugasalt.com. Fire your fly swatter. Get your Bugasalt today.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Brakey purified water. The Brakey guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com.
Free Talk Live.
I did all this construction. Well, I had the inspector come through, and he tells me it looks really good, but I think it looks better with Mr. Hamilton. I go, excuse me? He grabs a sledgehammer, and he just starts tearing the place apart. He says it'd be better with Mr. Hamilton. He was looking for payoff.
A $10 bill?
The guy was crazy. He went into my kitchen, and he asked for Mr. Lincoln.
I don't think I believe you.
My mother left me a porcelain doll collection that he just went to town on. And this is the problem with having to have inspections.
Thanks for the call, man. No, that was believable at the very first point.
The guy was asking for Mr. Hamilton.
How about Mr.
Alexander
Franklin?
Hamilton is on the front of a $10 bill. I mean, I'm like, holy crap, he's banging holes in the wall for a $10 bill?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want right here. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, that's 855-450-3733. Bitcoin.com would like you to know about Save It Purse, now taking Bitcoin Cash. We've talked for years about SaveItPurse.com on Free Talk Live because we use it. I use it regularly.
I just used it.
Usually a few times a month at least, because whenever I need something from Amazon, I want to get 20% off. I might want to get 30% off. And I can decide what percentage discount I want. If I'm, not in a rush, I can set it at 33%, the maximum discount, and hope that somebody will bite. Now, actually I did that a few weeks ago, and I haven't gotten a bite. So sometimes it's
hard to get 33% off, but it's always easy at 20%. 15%, it's almost a guarantee it's going to get snapped up within hours, if not minutes, of when you put it on there. So it's very, very fast and very good. It's a great way to save big time on the purchases you make in Amazon, but the catch is you have to use cryptocurrency, and it used to be that they only had Bitcoin or BTC, but now you can use Bitcoin Cash natively at saveatpurse.com. That's saveatpurse, saveatpurse.com. We can talk a little more about Venezuela. We had the story about the kennels, people just packing into the back of government-run trucks to get from point A to point B because the government screwed up and they can't do anything right, because that's what governments generally are like. And so they really screwed up because, well, the hyperinflation has made it impossible to get parts to fix cars and trucks and buses. And so basically their entire fleet of buses has gone into complete disrepair. And now they're just literally shoveling people into the backs of trucks with, cages around them, essentially. The people are calling them kennels, because it reminds them of how dogs and animals are treated. Let's go to Dan. He's in Nebraska. There's a little bit more about the latest on inflation in Venezuela. But Dan, you're on Free Talk Live.
Okay, so I actually didn't want to talk about inflation in Venezuela.
Well, that's okay. It's an open phone show. You can call in about anything you want, Dan. So go right ahead.
I will tell you as a quick note, though, just unrelated to the rest of my call. I actually work in a kitchen, and there's a couple of Venezuelans there, and I've actually talked to them about some of these stories, and I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. They definitely are passionate about, telling their stories too. Whenever, there's some sort of news about Maduro or inflation, or I'll casually bring it up.
Are they Maduro fans or are they Maduro haters?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Meaning they are not fans, is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so what were you calling about tonight?
So the other day I called in to sort of take a few picks at Ian as far as the ideal libertarian society, or maybe, what would happen in a hypothetical libertarian society. And I wanted to continue that. And I saw this story about this couple. Their baby fell out of a crib, and they called 911 to get to the hospital. There were no bruises or anything. There was no actual damage. They gave the baby a bottle of formula, and it slept for like 3 hours in the hospital. And when they get the bill, it was $18,000.
Wow.
Now, in a libertarian society, what could you refuse such a bill? Would the propertarian, according to the NAP, have the right to...
The NAP is the non-aggression principle.
Pursue these people for that $18,000 violence or not?
Okay, so you rightly point out medicine terribly messed up in this country. It's terribly messed up around the world. One of the problems is that people feel that they have the right to medicine. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons is in United States history, at one point we had a 90% tax bracket. Before that, employers never considered covering insurance for people. It was never in any way attached to that. So what happened was, rather than paying their employees money into this 90% tax bracket, of which 90% goes into the government rather than the employee, not particularly motivating to the employee, they began to cover things like insurance, medical, optical, dental, whatever they could, a company car, whatever they could throw at you in order to dodge this particular thing. Maybe they'd cover your housing. And as a result, what we saw was people became divorced from the pricing of medicine. And now when you go into my wife and I, 10 years ago, we had a son. I was asking the lady who wanted to run tests on my wife. You're pregnant. Let's run a bevy of tests on her.
What do they cost?
What's this cost? She didn't know.
That's how seldom that question gets asked.
Well, yeah, she had no clue. That's not her job. She's there to provide medical help, and then the people down in billing are there to bill you. And
or the insurance company.
Yeah. As a result, or the insurance company. In most cases, it's the insurance company. As a result, we got tests that we didn't need, and I actually refused to pay them. Now, in a libertarian world, it's unlikely that you would have a situation where you could, credit gets a little weirder, right? Like people can pursue people over debts and that sort of thing. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. I don't know. But ultimately, I would say that medicine would return to an equilibrium if people were responsible for paying for it. And that's where you have the problem. Is it messed up today? Yes. Does it have some terrible results like what you're talking about? Yes. Is that capitalism's fault? No, it's the opposite of capitalism's fault. It's statism's fault. The government made this problem, and they can't dig us out.
Well, keep in mind the government also restricted supply. So there's a restricted supply on doctors. There's a restricted supply on hospitals. There's a restricted supply on nurses.
The AMA is a union that prevents...
American Medical Association.
The American Medical Association is a union that basically decides how many doctors we're going to get every year.
Right.
And... that's how they control the supply of medicine, and it keeps the pricing up nice and high.
Exactly.
If you want to, and this is for everybody, if you want to see how the medical system could be better in this world or in this country, look up the impossible medical solution. The impossible solution to healthcare. It's a blog post, and it goes through the price. It shows a menu of items that you can get from a hospital in like the 40s or something.
Oh, really?
And then it talks about what the pricing was then. And it translates these into modern day dollars, and it gives you an idea of what it would cost to have a baby and those sorts of things.
Yeah, didn't they figure it out based on how long you'd have to take off of work, or how long you wouldn't be getting paid? How long you would have to be able to afford to leave these, your job in order to get these sorts of treatments, and that you would have to leave for longer and longer periods of time now in order to be able to afford it. I don't know if I'm making any sense there. But.
Yeah, he's got a whole blog post here. He goes into it more than I can on the air right now.
Basically, you could take a week off from work and have enough to pay for an entire pregnancy, sort of thing.
Here it is.
In the past,
the golden era of the 1950s, when everyone paid cash for healthcare. Maternity rates. This is having a baby. Keep in mind, it cost $10,000 when I went to the hospital here in Keene, New Hampshire, 10 years ago.
Just for when you went to the hospital?
No, this is for the whole baby. The baby having package, presuming you don't have any add-ons to your baby having package.
Okay.
Wards. That means everybody sleeps in one big area. $14. Semi-private. I presume that means...
Is this translated to today's dollars?
No.
No, okay.
This is what it cost in the 1950s.
Yeah.
But what we can see is you can look at what cars cost then and what cars cost now, and you can see there's a huge difference. Something more has happened. Babies happen on their own.
They do.
Yeah. You really don't need a doctor for them, although it's a good idea to have one on standby. But, having one on standby, not worth $10,000. So a private room. Deluxe private room. This is
for a baby delivering.
The full boat for maternity. $23.
All right, stand by, Dan. We'll let you respond here in moments. Dan in Nebraska with us. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. What would healthcare look like in a world in which there was no government to tell everybody what to do and to put all kinds of mandates down on companies and providers and doctors and insurance companies, etc., the individuals? 855-450-FREE like freedom. If you want to join us, it's Free Talk Live.
Imagine this is you. You're working late when you get an alert on your smartphone. Your motion-activated Blink security camera picked up something at home. You pop open the Blink app and see the silhouette of a man peering through your kitchen window. You dial 911 and the police roll. The job of a home security system is to help stop crime, which is why I chose Blink. Get 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL.
I've said it many times on air, and I'll say it here. The New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is one of the most important organizations for freedom in the world. New Hampshire is ground zero for freedom, and the NHLA is the best organization at promoting effective liberty activism. This ad is sponsored by Free Talk Live, and I, Mark Edge, am a lifetime member because I believe in the NHLA. Please check them out at nhliberty.org. Not everyone everyone can move right now, but you can support the cause. Donate top cryptocurrencies or old-fashioned U.S. dollars, nhliberty.org. Visit their website and see what they're all about, nhliberty.org.
90% of Americans say saving for retirement is one of their most important financial obligations, and more than 80% admit that they could have saved more. That's according to the latest survey from American Century Investments. The company's Diane Gallagher explains.
Having debt, not earning enough, and unexpected expenses remain the biggest reasons why Americans don't save more for retirement. And when it comes to actually putting money away, they gave themselves an average grade of C+.
For more results, visit AmericanCentury.com.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this?
Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll free here. The number's 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about health care, and a lot of people believe that it should be free, that they should just be able to just walk into any old place that provides health services and just get everything for free because it's their right. And this is a very dangerous idea, because ultimately it leads to government control of healthcare. It leads to one-size-fits-all government healthcare where essentially death panels end up deciding who's important enough to receive whatever care they're willing to dole out.
Ultimately, that's how it has to be. In a world where services are finite, there's only so many people to provide so many services. There's only so many resources that can go into keeping one person alive. When you're talking, should we save the 90-year-old who needs $100 million worth of treatment, or should we save 100 babies that each need $1 million worth of treatment? What are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame somebody in that position for having to make that choice, but it's the fact that those positions are created in the first place. Because if we have a free marketplace in healthcare, then there is no limit to supply, no, at least no artificial limit. Then only the market would limit supply through whatever natural means are necessary. You wouldn't have these arbitrary, doctors' unions like the AMA standing in the way of anybody who wanted to provide similar services. You wouldn't have the government through their FDA and through, like other governmental regulatory bodies at the state or local level standing in the way of the creation of hospitals, the creation of different techniques and approaches, remedies, medicines. All of this stuff is retarded by the government.
Yeah. Also, tell me when the government, the state, is good at research and development.
They're not.
I mean, they're. I suppose the best I've been able to come up with is the Manhattan Project, when they created the nuclear bomb, the atomic weapons that they dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's the best I can come up with, because most of the innovation that's coming out of the medical in medicine right now isn't coming from governments that have socialized medicine.
Let's get Dan back on the line here in Nebraska. And Dan, you're back on Free Talk Live. By the way, Dan's one of our participants on the Free Talk Live Discord chat. And if you want to chat with Dan and Gene the Christian Anarchist and other listeners of Free Talk Live, as well as some of the hosts, you can hop in our Discord server over at discord.lrn.fm. It's free, and it's there 24 hours a day. Before, during, and after Free Talk Live, there are listeners in there chatting with each other about various different topics in different chat rooms with different subjects, and it's free. So go to discord.lrn.fm. Dan, you'd originally brought up this situation with a couple desperately bringing their what they thought was injured baby into a hospital and getting hit with an unexpectedly large $18,000 bill when ultimately nothing was really wrong with the child, apparently. And you were saying, well, what would this be like in a libertarian society? And essentially our answer was, well, the market is completely skewed and distorted today because of all these restrictions placed upon it, and that if it were allowed to operate, in much like other mostly free marketplaces, like, computer parts, for instance, prices go down over time, service gets better, quality gets better, the product gets better than, what it was 10 or 15 or even 5 years prior to that. We could have healthcare like that. It just isn't like that because there is no real robust competition. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. We got too close to another dog, and then just a lot of noise.
Oh, I didn't hear a thing. Anyway, go ahead.
So basically first I just want to say I'm very satisfied with that answer. That was a good answer.
Thanks.
I guess I just more or less called in to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I tend to agree. But
good.
When
Thank you.
Bring up
if I can't get someone genuinely pissed off about it, I'll take somebody who's fake pissed off about it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man, because otherwise it's just me and Mark talking here, and I talk to him all the damn time, so it's nice to hear from
also
other people.
It's difficult to know exactly what people are thinking out there at any given time. And you're right, healthcare is something that's important, and it gives us an opportunity to do Libertarianism 101 for people. So thank you.
No doubt. Dan, anything else you want to share tonight?
I have a couple things.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say, though, related to that is I think especially questions like this are important to answer because, for lack of a better word, there's just like a lot of bootlicking, I feel like, that a lot of public libertarians or that a lot of people kind of do, where they sort of like worship these corporations that kind of screw over Americans, well, if not only to be trolling. There's not a lot of compassion and libertarianism to people who don't know much about it.
So when you say they're worshiping corporations, can you give me an example of that?
Well, when I believe it mostly to be trolling, but when you're talking to somebody who loves to praise, oil companies and cable companies and other monopolies and oligopolies and military-industrial complex-related kinds of businesses and telecoms and insurance providers, and
I can say it must be people trolling on the internet because I don't know those people in real life. I've never met those people.
I've definitely met them in real life.
Really?
But
have you met any of these people who are just lauding mega corporations within the libertarian movement, Mark, around here? I don't know those people.
So,
no, generally.
That's one of the reasons.
The libertarian response to, well, these corporations take over and blah 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 blah, is that corporations are creations of the government.
Right.
The corporation simply cannot exist without the organization that claims the monopoly privilege on the use of violence in a given landmass giving a piece of paper saying you are not responsible for your actions.
Your liability
Here you go.
is limited.
Thanks for the money.
Yeah. So a corporation, we should be clear, though, because it's not clear. The term corporation is something that gets mixed up with the ideas of companies and businesses. And let's be clear. We would have businesses in a free market, but there wouldn't necessarily be the idea of a corporation because, again, that's an issuance. It's essentially a file folder. It's a creation, a legal fiction created by another legal fiction and another corporation. This is all just legal fantasy is what we're talking about here is, the corporate structure, the corporate names, the all capital letters. There's all kinds of theories that float around this. But ultimately, a corporation is a file folder with papers in it that says there's a name attached to this idea, and that name itself could be sued for a thing that happened, but the individuals who are associated with that name in some cases cannot be sued directly because even though they might have been associated with that legal thing, that corporation, the corporation itself is the only thing that's liable for its actions, and so it shields the individuals from any liability for their actions and in tandem with that corporation. So ultimately, that's kind of the whole point of corporations was to shield the politically connected and the wealthy from liability. And so from that aspect, I don't believe in the idea of corporations because I think people should be liable for the things that they do. Basically.
People will probably figure out ways to contract for joint ownership or profit taking from some venture or something like that. Whereas like maybe for instance Ian says I'm going to start a radio program, Mark, but I need $40,000, and I say awesome, I'll give you $40,000, and what you do is you can give me half of your profits for the next 10 years, and that would be something similar to what the public stock market is or something like that without having the liability on my part.
Sure, you could register a contract with some kind of an organization like you talked about, a stock market or whatever, some agency that could recognize that contract, could call it a thing, call it a name, and then put that on some marketplace or whatever. I mean, there would be ways to have.
What I would want to do is protect myself from suing. So if Ian starts a radio program and what his real plan is to go on the public airwaves and cuss his heart out, every night of the week, and then he somehow creates some kind of liability, I don't know, the stations sue him or something, and then he's got $100,000 in lawsuits against him. I don't want $100,000 of lawsuits against me, so I need protection.
So you could write that into a contract
pretty easily.
Yeah. So there you go, Dan. Thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. And let's go to the Discord on-air call-in line room where Gene the Christian Anarchist is on the line with us. Go ahead, Gene.
Hello, guys.
Hey.
I called to give you guys both a spanking.
Oh, good. What do we do now?
Last night, Melanie was right. You two were both wrong.
What was she right about?
She was right about a libertarian cannot be one of the goon squad.
The cops.
Right.
All right, hold on. We'll let you explain that here in moments. Gene the Christian Anarchist with us on the Discord on-air call-in line room, sounding like he's almost sitting in the studio with us here. If you want to sound the best possible, and let me tell you, we want you to sound the best possible because it's more pleasant to listen to for us and for our listeners. Join us on the Discord chat and just hop into that on-air call-in line room when it's available, and we'll get you on the air. Hour number 3 is next. Stick around. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Heart-related health problems affect millions of people each year. Maybe you're one of the many who suffer from issues related to angina pain, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, unbalanced cholesterol, irregular heartbeat, or clogged arteries. There is a solution that doesn't involve expensive prescription drugs that only mask the problem and leave you with horrible side effects. If you are ready to live your life free of sickness, pain, and fear, live your life with increased vitality, energy, and youthfulness, and experience your body healing itself, yourself? Then you're ready for Heart and Body Extract from Healthy Hearts Club. Here is what one satisfied customer had to say about Heart and Body Extract regarding his angina pain.
I haven't had an angina pain since I've been on it. The Heart Body Extract is just so great. I thank God that I was led to this product that's doing so much for me and that can do so much for other people.
Call to order your 2-month supply of Heart and Body Extract today. Call 1-866-295-5305 or go to hbextract.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene, the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, July 10th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.07 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,254 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $21, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,368. Antiwar.com reports after his North Korea and Japan visits, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo made a surprise stop-off in Afghanistan on Monday, offering U.S. support for peace talks between the Ghani government and the Taliban. This and Pompeo's promise that the U.S. was willing to take part is a change in policy. In January, President Trump had ruled out any U.S. involvement in peace talks with the Taliban, saying the U.S. did not want talks and it's going to be a long time before that changed. Pompeo, by contrast, said the talks needed to be Afghan-led and that the U.S. would have an important role, but only to the extent the Afghans took the lead. Ghani has been trying to court talks with the Taliban for a while, including a brief ceasefire. Pompeo went on to insist President Trump's escalation in Afghanistan is working despite the amount of territory held by the government continuing to shrink. He said the U.S. escalation was forcing the Taliban towards negotiation. The Taliban has yet to accept the negotiations. Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com. UPI reports California's Klamathon fire has destroyed more than 81 structures, prompting evacuations in the affected area on Monday. CAL FIRE said the fire in Siskiyou County, which began Thursday, had burned 35,250 acres and was 30% contained. One person died in the blaze and 3 more have been injured. A total of 2,716 fire personnel and 199 fire engines were dispatched to combat the blaze. The county fire in Napa and Yolo counties increased in size to 90,288 acres on Monday and was about 73% contained. CAL FIRE said firefighters were working to mop up and strengthen control lines as unburned pockets of fuel continue to burn within the interior of the fire. No deaths or injuries have been reported from that blaze, which began June 29th, but it has destroyed 16 structures. The Georges fire in Inyo County was caused by lightning on Sunday afternoon and had grown to 2,000 acres by Monday. CAL FIRE sent 20 fire engines to combat that blaze, but did not specify how much had been contained. Near Los Angeles, the Valley Fire grew in size to 1,348 acres and was about 13% contained, while the 100-acre Box Fire was about 80% contained. Both blazes took place in San Bernardino County. The Creek Fire in San Bernardino National Forest was about 33 acres in size and 94% contained as of Monday. Further north, the Lions Fire had no growth over the weekend, remained at 4,064 acres in size and about 90% containment in the Sierra National Forest. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports President Donald Trump on Monday announced Brett Kavanaugh as his nominee for the U.S. Supreme Court, picking a conservative federal appeals court judge who survived a previous tough Senate confirmation battle and helped investigate former President Bill Clinton in the 1990s. In picking the 53-year-old Kavanaugh, Trump aimed to entrench conservative control of the court for years to come with his second lifetime appointment to the nation's highest judicial body in his first 18 months as president. Kavanaugh now faces what appears to be another fierce fight for confirmation in the Senate, where Trump's fellow Republicans hold a slim majority. If confirmed, Kavanaugh would replace long-serving conservative Justice Anthony Kennedy, who announced his retirement on June 27th at the age of 81. Trump told an applauding audience in the East Room of the White House, "Throughout legal circles, he's considered a judge's judge, a true thought leader among his peers." Kavanaugh has amassed a solidly conservative judicial record since 2006 on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, the same court where 3 current justices, including Chief Justice John Roberts, previously served. Kavanaugh served as a senior White House official under former President George W. Bush before being nominated to the appeals court in 2003. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Today's most popular video games take place in dangerous post-apocalyptic landscapes. But are these games doing enough to prepare our kids for the actual post-apocalyptic future we will all soon face?
Well, I think these games are quite effective at teaching our kids skills like finding shotgun ammo and leading elite squads of super soldiers.
But these aren't the advanced skills that they're going to need. They're going to need the more practical skills like how to find drinking water by collecting the morning dew in human skulls.
Or how to deal with depression when the sun is blocked out for 500 years by a cloud of radioactive dust.
Absolutely. Now, that's the type of knowledge these kids are going to need when their world has been turned into a brutal hellscape.
But these kids said that they know how to find items to barter at weapon shops and how to use medicine packs to heal zombie bites.
The games make it all seem deceptively simple. I mean, in the future, a kid's not going to be able to kill a 6-foot-long irradiated beetle just by pressing a few buttons, and he's going to have to get down there with an axe and hack and hack and hack.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial toll free. Bring up what you want. Coming up, the Space Force. Found a pretty entertaining
I've been waiting
video
for this one.
Yeah, and I want to share a pretty entertaining portion of a video from comedy The Daily Show, I think it is, with the new host guy, Trevor Noah.
I've never watched it.
Me neither. But I watched a clip today, and I thought it was pretty funny.
I haven't done that much.
Yeah. So we'll share that with you coming up here about the Space Force and some Trump fans'
John,
opinions.
whatever his name was, left, and the show just died.
Disappeared from your reality. All right, let's go back to the Christian anarchist, though. Gene is on the line here from our Discord chat on the on-air call-in line room. Hey, Gene, go ahead with your thoughts. You were saying Melanie was right last night about libertarians can't be cops. Go ahead.
That's right. Yeah, if you're a libertarian, there's just no way in the world you could possibly use, like she says, as soon as you put that uniform on, you're representing the state. And that means that, yes, you have discretion in enforcing certain laws, but the bottom line is, if you're part of that gang, you have to do what the gang boss tells you to do. If you don't do what the gang boss tells you to do, you're out of there. Now, I can take this to an extreme. This is going to be, way out in left field. But because it's funny, you were talking also yesterday about human sacrifice. So imagine that you're in the society that has human sacrifice. And it's up, they have a squad of people. Their job is to go out and enforce the human sacrifice. So they have to go out and snatch little 8 and 10-year-old kids to go throw them in the lava in the volcano. Their job, that's what they do. They're, you know, they're doing what society wants done. They're
only protecting us, Gene. They're protecting us from the evil spirits. I don't understand why you have a problem with it.
From evil spirits. They're pleasing God. They're taking care of.
It's the only way to stop the rain.
Society.
Yeah, or get more rain.
Get more rain. We need more rain.
Yeah. So that's the equivalent in that society of the police in our society. So you could not. Yeah, it's obvious. I know you're not going to say that a libertarian could be one of those people out snatching kids to throw in the volcano. So if they can't be a libertarian and do that, they also can't be a libertarian and enforce these unjust laws on people, these victimless laws.
Define libertarian for me.
Libertarian?
Yeah.
Would be somebody, well, I would basically break down the word libertarian, somebody who is for liberty.
Okay.
If a libertarian is not for liberty, then I don't know who is. I mean, I don't know why they even have that name.
I think
so. If
that
you're for liberty, you cannot be also enforcing victimless crimes.
So etymologically, right, they create this term libertarian, and actually they borrowed it from 19th century socialists, but whatever. They got this term libertarian. It means we're for more liberty. So it could be for only liberty, or it could be for more liberty. The reason you call yourself, Gene, the Christian anarchist is probably, it's to me plain. It indicates that you are against government intervention every issue, every time. You don't call yourself, Gene, the Christian libertarian, because what would be the point of that? A libertarian, if you go by your definition, is the same thing as an anarchist, which is the same thing as a voluntarist, but I contend that these terms have different definitions, especially in colloquial use here in the United States. So I would say that a libertarian is somebody who is basically socially conservative and socially liberal and fiscally conservative. And they err on the side of liberty as often as they can get around it in their minds. The people who taught me the ideas of liberty originally were law enforcement officers. And I would have never gone down this road of trying to figure out what all this stuff means. At least, maybe I would have. I don't know. I can't say what I would or wouldn't have done. But they're the ones who got me to go down this road to start thinking about this stuff in the first place. So what I would say is that don't marginalize and alienate people who could be your confederates on an issue just because one wishes to take a stalwart stance on every issue every time. Specifically, issues that that for whatever reason they may agree with you on, but they feel like they're just doing their job. You can have conversations about the dangers of saying I'm just doing my job, but I wouldn't try to pull their card. Ian loves to pull people's cards. Melanie was pulling people's libertarian card last night. It's all about, nope, you don't get to be a libertarian. I've just taken your membership card.
Well, if you don't believe in the ideas of non-aggression, you're not a libertarian by my definition. So I tend to agree with Gene's definition of libertarian, the pure definition of it. But at the same time, I also think that he's not being particularly kind to the people that want to get into these positions to try to minimize damage. I mean, isn't there something to the idea of being a monkey wrencher? Somebody who joins a system in order to help take it down, somebody who drags their feet in areas where they don't have to drag their feet and could otherwise be more of a cracking down on peaceful people. Maybe they get past the tenure period or into the tenure period, so get past the initial phase where they have to kind of do what they're told in order to where they get to the point where they can't get fired, and then they can kind of just do whatever it is they want to do and not enforce victimless crime laws. Isn't there some value to that?
I don't think that you can get past that stage. What
if they pour sugar in the Bearcat gas tank?
Well, that would be great. I mean, I would love to see that happen. But you're not likely to see something like that happen from anybody and have them still be in the goon squad. They're going to get fired.
That's if they get caught.
One of the other goons is going to blow them away in a in a firefight just because, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to shoot you. I was really shooting for the bad guys, but you're such an asshole anyway. I want to shoot you, So I don't think anybody could get to that point. But,
okay, so you're skeptical, but you're acknowledging that there is value in the idea of being an inside the system monkey wrencher.
I hope the value isn't just pouring the sugar into the tanks of Bearcats.
I was just giving that as an extreme example of what somebody inside the system could do. They could also release a virus into a computer system. They could do all kinds of things that are, they have access to systems inside the system.
Sometimes, the decision as to whether or not to visit government force on somebody comes down to one police officer. Mm-hmm. And if you can be that police officer and you can not visit government force upon somebody who has not created a victim, then I'd say, great.
Like if you get called to a high school party and you just walk away because, nothing going on here or whatever.
Well, if you scare the heck out of the high schoolers and they stop their party. Remember, people have to get up for work in the morning, and these kids who are puking in their bushes are creating a hell of a lot of noise. They don't tend to just sit there and play Dungeons and Dragons and sip martinis, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, high school parties suck for a reason.
But a lot of them happen in the woods where there's nobody around and they get busted and people get arrested.
Yes, sir.
And to Mark's point about the marginalizing people, and you obviously know, or you should know, that I don't marginalize people when I talk to them. When I talk to them about liberty. Like today, I was talking to a potential guy who's going to be my helicopter instructor. He also goes to Iran and Iraq as a pilot over there as part of his job, so he's involved in the aggression in those countries. I did not just call him out when we're sitting there across the table and say, well, you're a baby killer, like they did with Vietnam. That didn't work.
Spit on him.
and then have him
be your instructor.
So obviously you don't do that.
But what's going on here right now, Gene, and what Melanie was doing last night is the radio equivalent of yelling baby killer and spitting on people. I'm sorry. I mean, that's just how I see it. I have to present libertarianism to an audience of 300,000 people on a nightly basis, and what's going to prevent them from saying whether or not I want to be a libertarian? Well, do they want me? And the answer, when you say you simply cannot be a police officer and be a libertarian, is no, we don't want you. And I say yes. We want you. We want you to accept the ideas, and then over time, we will examine how your job plays into those ideas.
Thanks for the call, Gene. I appreciate the discussion. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733. And you can join us on the radio. Bring up what's on your mind. It is Free Talk Live.
From the sixth letter of Captain Mark. A pirate's life is characterized by voluntary interactions. Unfortunately, the Crown presses everyone into involuntary servitude. Landlubbers believe slavery was abolished years ago, but the Crown still claims to own us when it crimps us into service against our will. Given sufficient ambition, it would gladly draft thousands of hapless victims to kill or be killed. It's simply slavery by another name. Landlubbers are routinely commanded to serve the so-called justice system in jury duty. But before you swell with civic pride, consider that how you feel is irrelevant to the Crown. You will appear as ordered or face punitive measures. The Crown insists that you participate in your own oppression. A jury summons provides pirates with a unique opportunity to obstruct injustices. A juror can vote not guilty, even if it's proven the law was violated. A juror can acquit for any reason at all, and not even a judge can reverse that verdict. Receiving a jury summons is basically winning the sedition lottery. But if you reveal that you know this during jury selection, you'll probably be dismissed. If the Crown foolishly crimps a pirate into jury duty, it behooves the pirate to conceal their intention to nullify unjust laws. If a master takes 100% of your labor, it's called slavery. But if they only take 50%, they call it taxation. A difference of degree, not of kind. Whether the Crown claims a fortune or a cent is irrelevant. Most of all, a slave owner desires contented slaves, meaning thoughtless ones that accept their bondage. These house slaves see no contradiction in being drafted in a war to end slavery or summoned to a jury to prosecute tax evasion. An ideal slave knows no higher call than the master's will. The Crown's highest ambition is that its slaves revere the authority that subjugates them. But the Crown does not own me. I will not surrender my time and treasure to the Crown's ambitions. Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Oh yeah, it's Free Talk Live. You dial in, toll free, bring up whatever you want, and our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. If you are a cryptocurrency advocate and you haven't checked out the crypto tip yet, drop on by cryptotip.org and you can print out business card size printable tips that you can then leave at, the dinner table or any other service provider that's giving you good service. You want to give them a cryptocurrency tip in addition to a good cash tip. That's a great way to spread the idea of cryptocurrency and get whoever that person is to take it seriously and give it a look.
And if it doesn't work out, if they decide, I'll just toss this little piece of paper, they think it's some kind of Bible tract or something,
Yep.
Well,
you get the crypto back.
The crypto comes back to you. So you're not wasting it, you're not killing it off.
Exactly.
They can take it as a tip, or it comes back to you.
And if they do activate the tip and keep it, then you can get a notice in email to let you know that it happened. That way, if you want to, you can follow up with that person maybe the next time you're in the restaurant or whatever, and you can ask them about, how it went. So check it out at cryptotip.org. It's in beta. It is Dash only at the moment, but we may add some other cryptos to it down the line. But go ahead and give it a shot and see what you think of it. As we continue, here we go back to your calls and thoughts. Big Loaf is on via the Discord on-air call-in line room. Go ahead, Big Loaf, in North Carolina.
Yeah, gentlemen. So, good evening. About the last call from Gene. Yeah, he's absolutely right, and Melanie was too, right? But there was this insinuation that we don't know what we're talking about when we talk about libertarian, and somehow, therefore, we really can't say discernibly whether or not being a cop is mutually exclusive with being a libertarian. But if we
where
can
is this,
say that,
hold on, where is this claim? You're saying that we don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. It was just the vibe I got. And if I got the wrong vibe, then my apologies. But my point is that we can take the Libertarian Party's platform as an example and at least say for certain that you can't be a cop and be in the Libertarian Party and at least be consistent with the principles. Allow me to read from the principles in their platform website on lp.org/platform. Quote, "We hold that all individuals have the right to exercise sole dominion over their own lives and have the right to live in whatever manner they choose, so long as they do not forcibly interfere with the equal rights of others to live in whatever manner they choose." So let me ask you this. Do cops do that? Do they interfere?
Do most of the people who are, or do a good percentage of people who are in the Libertarian Party and sitting on the board believe that?
Well, if they don't, then they're probably in the wrong party.
Well,
right?
maybe they are, but they're there,
yeah,
and there's no policing
well,
for
I mean,
that.
objectively speaking, right? I mean, this is just objectively speaking. These are stated principles. If they don't believe those principles, then, I mean, objectively speaking,
my statement was, and earlier in the show, that if somebody initiates force on somebody else, that the non-aggression principle in the absence of the state allows you to use force up to deadly force to prevent that initiation of force. So I think what my position is very, very clear. However, we are not going to move the ball forward when it comes to these ideas by saying, let's get out there and start shooting cops. That's not an idea that's going to go anywhere, Big Loaf.
I didn't say that, but I mean, frankly, that's debatable. I mean, it's a discussion to be had. But I mean, what I'm saying though is that objectively speaking, per the platform, it seems quite clear that being a cop is inconsistent with the stated principles of the official platform.
I think that that's absolutely true, that if you are being a normal cop going and threatening peaceful people for speeding or marijuana possession or underage drinking or whatever, then that's not libertarian at all. But if you can be a cop and avoid doing those things, then is it really that incompatible? If all you're doing is going after murderers and rapists and the people who are actually violating the rights of peaceful people, then what's wrong with that?
Well, it sort of kind of does. Further in the statement of principles, quote, since governments, when instituted, must not violate individual rights, we oppose all interference by governments in the areas of voluntary and contractual relations.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about. I said I'm talking about the cops who might just be able to somehow avoid enforcing victimless crimes and only spend their time going after people who've created a victim.
But that's not what that principle says, right?
You're falling into this trap. Do you think that I can convince new people? My job is to bring the ideas of liberty to new people. It doesn't matter, does it? You don't care whether I can explain the... Hold on, let me finish here. You don't care whether I can explain the ideas of liberty to people. It's important to you to stand up on a soapbox and say, let's shoot cops. It's important we have this conversation about shooting cops.
Is that what you want to do, Big Loaf? You want to actually go out and kill police?
I mean, I just want to live in peace, bro. I mean, but...
And you're angry that the police are stopping you from that, right?
I mean,
yes.
Duh. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
is the best system for stopping the police from visiting violence upon you and your family to advocate for violence being visited upon theirs?
It could be, given the situation.
It is not.
I don't know, right?
Let me disabuse you of that wildly stupid notion. It is not. You do not go after the people with the guns, with the state sanction, and tell them that you want to kill them. That's a bad idea, and I do not want to be in the same movement with you or anybody who says it. Yeah. Thanks very much, you lunatic.
You're either, you're really loaded with a really bad idea here, Big Loaf, or you are an agent of the government.
Well, he's angry.
It's one or the other.
I'm angry too.
Right. It's one or the other. You're either an agent of the government undercover trying to foment anger, you're trying to foment distrust, you're trying to foment violence, or you're really just that angry and clueless about how bad of an idea this is. Because every time somebody has ever used violence against the police, every time that's ever happened, every time somebody's ever grabbed a bulldozer and run it through town buildings and, all these other things which have involved violence, or shooting city councilors.
That Killdozer story is amusing.
Or shooting city councilors or whatever, it always gives the government more of an excuse to increase its size. Every single time. You become the reason why the government needs to exist if you do that stuff.
I will grant you this. It is not necessarily the most pragmatic of things of every time, but let's be clear, right? Bundy's got his cows. There were 2 cops that got shot while they were taking a nap in their car in New York City. The police chief stop and frisk for 6 months with the stated reason because that happened. So those people got unabused for 6 months thanks to that. So it's not what I'm advocating. I mean, I certainly wouldn't take it off the table, but rather getting back to the point, I'm just saying in the statement of principles, objectively speaking, per these principles, it is quite inconsistent to be a cop and be in the Libertarian Party.
I get where you're coming from. I know where the discussion goes. I know the people who want to have the discussion because I've had the discussion for 15 years. This isn't new to me. I know the game. The game is to say these people in the government, as specifically the people who take money in order to enforce the laws, not the ones who make the laws, but the ones who enforce the laws, are our enemy. And we need to foment whatever violence there is. And look, I've seen.
Well, they are our enemy.
Okay.
I disagree with you. I think these are just confused individuals who need to have compassion shown to them so they can see the error of their ways.
Right. We all didn't believe in the ideas of liberty at one point or another.
Thanks for the call, Big Loaf. I appreciate the discussion. I can understand the anger. I really can. I used to be like that. I used to be angry. I used to be preparing for, a violent end with the government,
I'm not saying he is, but he is angry.
All that stuff. Oh, yeah, he sounds like that. He totally sounds like that kind of
He sounds early in that process.
Early? I don't know about that. He's been calling about this stuff in the past. More coming up here. 855, 450, free like freedom. Violence is not going to solve violence, in my opinion.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
It's a no-brainer. A Big Brakey water filter is the one you need, period. You need a water filter that removes chlorine, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, BPA, and other endocrine disruptors, pesticides, bacteria, viruses, and much more, right? And does it all at only 2 cents per gallon. Get the original and most trusted name in gravity water filtration, Big Brakey. And now GCN listeners receive 5% off ceramic filter systems using code GCN. Call or click 1-877-99-BERKEY or BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com. The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are 1. Share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love. But make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Moments remain here. We've got more time for you, though. If you want to jump on, you can. Our toll-free number is 855-450. Free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype. Skype username's LRN.FM. And Discord's been hopping tonight with the chat going on, of course, constantly during the show, before and after, but also the on-air call-in line room where we've had a few different calls. In fact, another one is waiting there, and it sounds way better than phone calls, so I appreciate everybody that calls in through either Discord or Skype. It's like an automatic voice quality upgrade. And one of our chatters in there had said earlier, well, you know, I'm on my phone. What's the difference if you call on the phone versus call on Discord because you're on your phone? The difference is when you make a phone call through the toll-free number, you're going through the old phone network, and it basically steps down quality in order to make the call compatible with the phone network.
Lines, wires, and all that stuff, yeah.
Whereas the Discord is Discord to Discord. It's a digital internet-based connection. Now, some of the phone network is being transmitted digitally these days, but it still has to kind of be backward compatible for the old legacy phones that are out there.
Yeah, it's obvious that phones don't sound as good as Skype. And Discord provides even a better platform than Skype, from what I can tell.
It's just a better quality codec, I think, that they're using. It just sounds better. It's probably a better server. Anyway, go to our Discord chat at discord.lrn.fm, and you can get interactive with other listeners there. They're in there right now arguing about killing cops and stuff like that. So there you go. We're going to continue with your calls and your thoughts. Of course, you can...
I just wanted to run a radio... I just wanted to be on the radio. And now I have to deal with this. Of course.
Well, it's just...
I've dealt with it for many years.
It's part and parcel of being a minister of peace. And you are a minister in the Shire Free Church, which is a peace church. And you have to advocate for peaceful solutions to problems. It's easy to run to violence. That's why, that's where people go, right? Like, they get mad, they go violent.
Yeah, let's talk about the practicality of that for 1 second. We had the professor, Erica Chenoweth, and they had done a book called...
She wrote a book about...
Yeah, Civil Resistance Works or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, on civil resistance. I'm not exactly sure.
Nonviolent civil resistance, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Civil resistance. And what she did was a history. She studied civil resistance movements throughout the 20th century and looked at their effectiveness and found that nonviolent civil resistance movements were twice as effective.
And became more effective over time, right?
Right. They became more effective. So maybe they were 1.5 as effective at the beginning of the 20th century. And did I say 19th century previously?
Whatever.
I meant to say 1900s or 20th century, excuse me. So maybe 1.5 and then move to 2.5 or 3 times as effective, just, basically, as time went by, they became more effective. I would suspect the reason is because governments have systems for dealing with you violent bastards.
Yes.
Okay?
They're prepared for that. They have a bear cat.
I'm as angry as you are. But they've got systems. They don't have
Sniper
systems
rifles
for dealing with people who are nonviolent.
But Mark, if you just kill a couple cops in New York City, they'll stop enforcing stop and frisk.
There's lots and lots and lots of counter examples. Okay, so you got 6 months. Awesome. When the Keene activists here in New Hampshire took their 420 activism to the lobby of the Keene Police Department and smoked out in there for their arrest, for the arrests of some activists.
We got
marijuana activists.
2 years at least, if not more.
Years. So
of
there you go.
No enforcement of marijuana in the center square of. Great point, Mark.
If you're willing to dedicate your life to violence, and that's what you're willing to do, when you stand there and say, I think we should shoot cops.
They're not willing to do it. They're only willing to talk about it.
You're either a coward or you're saying, I declare I am willing to shoot cops. And one of those two things is what you are. If you're willing to dedicate your life
that one.
to shooting cops, I'm not sure exactly what I said, but somebody will clip it. They clip all kinds of things. I've heard my voice on so many ringtones. If you declare you're willing to give your life for this, why not go ahead and give your life for something that works, which is dedicate yourself to the nonviolent resistance that actually works. Look this up, study it before you go and advocate for it.
Let's go to Mortified Penguin. He's on the line in Virginia, also on our Discord on-air call-in line room. Go ahead, Penguin.
Yeah, I want to point out for anybody out there in Radio Land, there's been a parallel discussion about this, what these calls are about going on all throughout the episode because of last night's show, including with one of the hosts from last night. So yeah, it's really
right. Melody's
really
in the chat room right now.
Yeah. So it's continues. Just like when you talk about immigration, it's a really hot button topic. But But I do want to talk about some of my first calls when I first called you guys, which was the first time I've ever called a radio show. I asked about the term libertarian, how useful it is, and now I've learned a lot more about it, and I've learned a lot more about different people's opinions, different hosts, and different people out there's opinions. And I mean, I do understand that perhaps you can be a little too dogmatic in the use of the word libertarian, just because you look at the word liberty. And like a vegetarian, they eat vegetables, they're for vegetables. A libertarian, they might be for liberty. And just hear me out.
You all right there? You're moving the phone around a whole lot.
Are you moving the phone around, the microphone or whatever is going on?
I'm actually wearing a headset, but let me keep it in place.
There you go. That would help.
Yeah. Okay. And
that's the point of a headset, to keep it in place and leave it alone.
Yeah.
Quit messing with it.
It's not entirely practical. Well, I was changing the acoustics. I was getting up and down. But the point is, it's not really practical to have.
I know what it is. It may not be you. Hang on. I accidentally had a Skype call on the line too, so it might have been coming in from there. I apologize. It might not have been you at all.
I told you about that before we got on the air.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not entirely useful to necessarily have the word anarchist and voluntarist and libertarian necessarily mean the same thing. I understand, and the counter argument to that is the non-aggression principle and the principles of the Libertarian Party that spell out, the use of aggressive force and everything. But at the same time, and this speaks to what the caller's talking about, these really hardline people that are calling, listen, none of us, nobody, almost 99.9% of libertarians were not originally libertarians. They were by default statists. That's what people are. But a lot of people have ideas of liberty, and you're not going to. You do have to get to people. You have to. Get to people where they believe in liberty.
It's one of the reasons I don't use the word anarchist to describe myself. It's one of the reasons. I think of a variety of reasons I wouldn't use the term to describe myself, and it's one of the reasons I like when people talk about this stuff when they describe themselves as anarchist. Thank goodness that you are on the same side as the masked Europeans throwing Molotov cocktails rather than calling yourself a voluntarist. Thank goodness.
Well, I can't blame anybody, and Mortified Penguin, thank you for the call tonight. I can't blame anybody for being angry at the government. They do some horrible things to people, and they continue to be an absolutely horrible group of criminals who hurt peaceful people. But it's easy to be in a chat room, on a social networking site, a caller on the radio, and having arguments with people about principle. That's easy. Because you're sitting behind your computer and you're, expressing yourself. Cool. But when you actually live in a place where we have a chance of actually achieving some more freedom in our lifetime by concentrating our activism, concentrating our numbers in one place, which is New Hampshire, where libertarians have been migrating for the New Hampshire freedom migration that's been going on for more than 15 years. When you actually live in a place, it removes all of it from the realm of the theoretical, and these are your neighbors now, these government people, these people who want to control you. In Keene, New Hampshire, there's 23,000 people. Everybody knows everybody. The Keene Police Department's 40 uniformed, or maybe 44 or so, uniformed officers. That's enough to where you could know them all in theory by first name if you wanted to. You're in Austin, Texas, you've got 1,900 uniformed officers. You're in some other big cities or whatever, you've got thousands, if not hundreds of
New York City
officers,
has been said, some huge police
There's like 25,000 traffic cops in New York City alone. So that's the population of Keene in traffic cops. So, when it becomes the reality of talking to your neighbors and trying to persuade them, because you're not going to be able to force people into liberty, you have to persuade them. to adopt these ideals. And luckily, the more libertarians we can get together, the more persuasive we can become. But if you're not willing to even talk, if you're not willing to even see those people, as human beings who could learn, who could change their minds, then you've already failed. More coming up here in moments. This is Free Talk Live. You can join us.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH, with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com. That's wallet.bitcoin.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
I tried other brands, but I came back to my Sunshine.
For the best hot or cold pain relief, get the best. Get a Sunny Bay heating pad.
Sometimes life can be a pain in the neck, or back, or shoulder.
And the best relief for that pain is a Sunny Bay heating pad. Did you know that the American College of Physicians said that one of the best ways to treat muscle pain is heat therapy? Sunny Bay heating pads are handmade with high quality, can be used at home or at work, and have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy.
Why take another pill?
Many people use our Sunny Bay heating pads alone and got rid of the neck pain.
Long distance travel or long hours in front of a computer can take its toll on your body.
Our homegrown small business tries to help people just like us. That's why we design and test our handmade products with great care before we introduce them to the public. You can easily find Sunny Bay heating pads on Amazon. Just go to Amazon.com and search for Sunny Bay heating pads.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
All right, it's another edition of the Edgington Post Show. I am Mark Edge. You're listening to Free Talk Live, and this is our final interview segment that I often do. Today I have with me Senator Eric Brakey. You're a Maine state senator, and apparently you've had some issue or another with, I guess, some ads that are intended to besmirch you, and there's dancing in underwear involved. Is that correct?
Well, I'll correct the record. It was technically it was a swimsuit, but
all right.
We'll leave it at that. But no, you're absolutely right. I'm serving my 4th year in the Maine State Senate, and I'm the Liberty Republican candidate for the U.S. Senate this November.
You supported Ron Paul?
Yeah, I was the state director for Ron Paul's campaign in 2011, 2012, before I ever ran for office myself.
So I guess they're trying to take you out of the office, and the best they can come up with is dancing in a swimsuit?
Well, here's the backstory behind this.
Okay.
You know, before I got into politics, I was a professional actor.
All right.
I lived in New York City for 2 years working as a professional actor before this guy, Ron Paul, came along and convinced me that there were more important things to do for our country. And so I left that behind, became an activist, ended up becoming the state director for his campaign here in Maine, and ended up running for state office myself 2 years later. But, of course, you know, when you don't plan your whole life around running for office, as some people do, when you're actually a real person, sometimes things in the past that look strange. So one thing I did when I was a professional actor, I did a commercial for Vita Coco coconut water, which wasn't a big brand at the time, but is a big brand now. What's that?
I've had that.
Yeah, you can pick it up in your local grocery store. It's everywhere these days.
So is it your bathing suit dancing that drove this thing up to what it is today?
Well, the commercial featured a lot of different men of different shapes and sizes and colors drinking a Vita Coco coconut water and then wanting to dance in a Brazilian Speedo. It was supposed to be a funny, family-friendly ad that was supposed to go viral online. Ironically, it eventually did go viral, but not until I ran for office years later.
Right. And I mean, who doesn't want to drink a drink that makes you want to dance around while in a Speedo?
Absolutely. And it was just a funny, family-friendly commercial. Of course, then some folks found it, took it out of context, spliced some of the most unflattering clips from that possible, and made it look like it was something that it wasn't. So that came out actually.
And what did they make it look like?
What's that?
What did they make it look like?
They made it look like it was just me dancing in my own bedroom for some strange reason and uploading it to YouTube.
Okay.
Which certainly, if a state Senate candidate were to be doing that, that would be pretty bizarre.
It would be odd, but one wonders what exactly would be wrong with it. I mean, you know, if, for instance, Nancy Pelosi wanted to upload some video of her dancing around in her bathing suit, which I'm sure she gets into bathing suits. If she wanted to do that, I'm not sure I would have anything to say about it. Is this supposed to be like a Howard Dean moment? Or is that what the idea is?
Well, I think the interesting thing is in the age that we live in, the age of YouTube, and so many members of the millennial generation, like myself, are stepping up, running for office, becoming the leaders of the future. I think we're going to see this kind of stuff more and more. You know, when you grew up in the age of YouTube and social media, I don't know a single millennial who doesn't have something out there somewhere on the internet that could be brought back from the past to try to embarrass them. I think we're going to become increasingly desensitized to this all. But you know what? When this video came out and they were trying to use it against us again, we just decided to have fun with it. We actually created our own music video. I don't know if you've seen it, but our own music video to some Justin Timberlake music of myself dancing, no Speedo this time, full suit and tie, but then a lot of our supporters across the state of Maine dancing. And it was just a fun, family-friendly commercial, and it's received a lot of nice press and showed the Washington establishment and those who are trying to embarrass us that we won't be embarrassed, and we're going to keep fighting for liberty and keep fighting for Maine.
I have not seen your video. I did see the original where this expose on your Speedo dancing or whatever it was. It seemed like it was put to that music for, I can't remember what the whole meme was a couple of summers ago when people were there'd be like one person dancing and then like everybody kind of looking at them strange, and then just moments later they'd all be dancing really crazy and weird outfits and stuff. I can't remember what that was called.
Yes, someone remixed it to the Harlem Shake.
Harlem Shake. Yeah, I mean, if for instance a politician, Donald Trump, decided to do a Harlem Shake video, would that then disqualify them for office? I think that it just. I don't know. It seems to be appealing to the most base sense of our of people. I don't know. I don't really get it.
It really is just people trying to embarrass people, trying to embarrass folks who believe in liberty, to try to discourage us from being out there and running for office and trying to make a difference. I think when people know the full context of it, people have a laugh about it. We have a laugh about it. It's a funny, family-friendly commercial. I encourage anyone to I'll send you the original if you want to share it with any folks.
Sure,
as
I'll
well
put it up
as
on the
our
Facebook
new
page.
music video. It's a funny, family-friendly commercial. Anyone can watch it and enjoy it. I've done 10 years of theater, and I just think of all the much more scandalous things I've done on stage in theater, and I'm just glad I'm just glad there's no video of that anywhere.
I've seen worse at a local, public theater musical, local theater musical. Nothing going on there. Since I've got you, and you're a liberty-oriented senator from the neighboring state of Maine here, I live in New Hampshire for the Free State Project. I guess the question I would have, questions that I have, is there's people who are not going to pick up and move to New Hampshire for the great freedom migration that is the Free State Project. What can they do locally? I mean, are you having any kind of success? You've dedicated 4 years of your life now to the Maine Senate. Has that been of any effect?
Well, absolutely. Well, first of all, I will say I know that Maine was in the running at one point for the Free State Project.
Was it?
And
It might
I'm
have been.
disappointed to this very day that you guys chose New Hampshire instead of Maine, because there's a lot going on for liberty here in Maine, though hopefully we'll kind of, as neighbors, will better each other. My 4 years in the state Senate, I've been at the forefront of a lot of fights for liberty. Some of them successful in terms of passing legislation, and some of them simply raising points that have needed to be raised. But I'm proud of the fact, as a state senator, one of the very first things I did was I sponsored and we passed constitutional carry here in the state of Maine, which I know you guys in New Hampshire eventually caught up to us.
Indeed. You got us. It's true.
Which I'm glad to see happen. Now we can travel from Maine to New Hampshire to Vermont, not need a permit to exercise our basic Second Amendment rights.
All of Acadia. Have you seen any results from this? Because the dire consequences that are predicted, in some cases by law enforcement, but almost entirely, universally as a common chorus by those that would wish to ban guns, is that crime's going to go up, that homicide's going to go up, that bad people are going to shoot good people, I guess.
Well, it's interesting. During the whole debates on this, we had out-of-state money coming in from Michael Bloomberg, gun control groups trying to stop.
He doesn't seem to like
happening.
guns much at all.
And they said that this was going to make us the Wild West. And I thought, this is the law that's been on the books in Vermont for 200 years. And
right.
I guess they're to the west of us, but I don't consider them all that wild.
Well, there's been studies done by libertarian academics out there on exactly how wild the West was. There's some outcroppings, some things that you can look at as far as, oh, wow, some bad things happened there and some bad things happened there. But by and large, when you looked at places where, in the Wild West, in that time frame from, say, the 1860s through the 1890s, and you take a broad look at municipalities and that sort of thing, that it is, I'm going to get my numbers wrong, but I'm not going to be terribly wrong, something like 30 times safer than Baltimore, 10 times safer than New York City, and, you pick your municipalities after that, but basically municipalities, large cities in the United States are more dangerous now than the Wild West ever was, and these large cities that they took in the study were all anti-gun.
I think you're absolutely right. In fact, I think the whole idea of the Wild West as we think of it is really just popularized by dime store novels and spaghetti westerns back in the day, when actually, you're right, it was a relatively peaceful place to live and to work, largely because everyone had a gun. And an armed society is a polite society. If you know that someone is capable of defending themselves or very likely to be able to defend themselves, you're not likely to pick a fight with that person. And we've actually seen that here in Maine. We've had, since constitutional carry passed, we have had incidents where constitutionally carrying citizens have stopped potential tragedies from happening. And Maine has gone from being the second safest state in the nation to the first safest state in the nation. So defying all the predictions of the gun grabbers and the Michael Bloomberg folks who told us there was going to be blood running in our streets.
So you're beating us out now for safest state.
We're beating you out, though. Actually, when I was looking at the numbers before, we were just ranked number one. I think New Hampshire was up there, but it was Vermont that actually had us beat.
It's usually Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine that are fighting over it. That's for sure.
We're a very peaceful place to live up here.
Yeah, that's the Acadia region. For those that want to look it up, I don't know what the reasons are that it's so safe, but I can tell you that constitutional carry is ubiquitous across those three states currently. They were safe states prior to that, too. And that's always very interesting to look at.
And now we're safer.
Yeah. What other things have you seen? So constitutional carry's great. Not everybody in the liberty movement's all about the guns. What other things have you seen happen there in Maine? To hear the rest of this great interview, go to archives.freetalklive.com and get the MP3. Look for today's date there and download or just listen on the web. archives.freetalklive.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, July 10th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.07 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,254 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $21, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,368. Antiwar.com reports after his North Korea and Japan visits, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo made a surprise stop-off in Afghanistan on Monday, offering U.S. support for peace talks between the Ghani government and the Taliban. This, and Pompeo's promise that the U.S. was willing to take part, is a change in policy. In January, President Trump had ruled out any U.S. involvement in peace talks with the Taliban, saying the U.S. did not want talks and it's going to be a long time before that changed. Pompeo, by contrast, said the talks needed to be Afghan-led and that the U.S. would have an important role, but only to the extent the Afghans took the lead. Ghani has been trying to court talks with the Taliban for a while, including a brief ceasefire. Pompeo went on to insist President Trump's escalation in Afghanistan is working despite the amount of territory held by the government continuing to shrink. He said the U.S. escalation was forcing the Taliban towards negotiation. The Taliban has yet to accept the negotiations. Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at Zencash.com. That's Zencash.com. UPI reports California's Klamathon fire has destroyed more than 81 structures, prompting evacuations in the affected area on Monday. CAL FIRE said the fire in Siskiyou County, which began Thursday, had burned 35,250 acres and was 30% contained. One person died in the blaze and 3 more have been injured. A total of 2,716 fire personnel and 199 fire engines were dispatched to combat the blaze. The county fire in Napa and Yolo counties increased in size to 90,000 4,288 acres on Monday and was about 73% contained. CAL FIRE said firefighters were working to mop up and strengthen control lines as unburned pockets of fuel continue to burn within the interior of the fire. No deaths or injuries have been reported from that blaze, which began June 29th, but it has destroyed 16 structures. The Georges fire in Inyo County was caused by lightning on Sunday afternoon and had grown to 2,000 acres by Monday. CAL FIRE sent 20 fire engines to combat that blaze, but did not specify how much had been contained. Near Los Angeles, the Valley Fire grew in size to 1,348 acres and was about 13% contained, while the 100-acre Box Fire was about 80% contained. Both blazes took place in San Bernardino County. The Creek Fire in San Bernardino National Forest was about 33 acres in size and 94% contained as of Monday. Further